The playoff push Harwich, Massachusetts at White House Field as the Harwich Mariners Brewster Whitecaps for the 5th time this season and the final here in Harwich. Devin Dobeck, Wyatt Kopelman alongside you for your journey here in the Cape Cod Baseball League's 39th game of the season. Really looking forward to a good one here. As the playoff push continues to commence, the Mariners hold a 1-point lead over the Brewster Whitecaps for 3rd place in the East Division standings, and it's going to be a really good one here tonight with a lot of playoff implications and matchups on the line.
Harwich needs to attack a starter who is certainly due for a win in the left-hander at 6'0", $195, and Rocco Reed out of Clemson. In his last outing, gave 3 earned runs, 5 hits, just 2 strikeouts in 4 1/3 innings, and that 10-run loss to Yarmouth Dennis. So he's reeling right now. Meanwhile, you need a strong start out of Zane Probst as well, a team in Harwich has the 5th lowest ERA in the Cape Cod Baseball League. You want to make sure you get that strong start, keep the Brewster lineup to a minimum.
Yeah, really looking forward to a good one here. It'll be Zane Probst countering him on the mound for the Harwich Mariners, making his 2nd start and 5th appearance this season. Comes in with a 1-0 record, a 1.64 earned run average. He's pitched 11 innings, 7 strikeouts, just 3 walks, and 8 hits. Always fun to watch Zane pitch here tonight.
It's going to be exciting to see what he can do. Very fastball reliant, and certainly had a lot of confidence in him in that start he got last time when the Mariners won here at White House Field. And it's something that they've been able to do quite frequently as well, Devin. 11-7-1 here in the confines of the house, as some say it around here. And for Zane, just to be able to get ahead in counts early, crucial, similar to what Dominic Bacone did 2 nights ago before the off day in Wareham. Got a season-high 7 strikeouts in 6 1/3 innings. Zane will look to match that today.
Beautiful night here in Harwich, hovering around 84 degrees, mostly sunny. A postcard perfect night, as you like to say, Wyatt. Really looking forward to a good one here as fans start to find their way to their seats. We're ready to play some baseball, and let's meet the starting lineup for Jamie Shevchek's Brewster Whitecaps. Leading off will be the 3rd baseman, Hunter D'Amato. Batting 2nd, the center fielder, Michael Robertson. Batting 3rd, the left fielder and all-star, and James Tibbs. Batting cleanup, the 1st baseman, Jared Jones. Batting 5th, the designated hitter, Will Turner. Batting 6th, the right fielder, Jaime Ferrer. Batting 7th, the catcher, Dylan Leach. Batting 8th, the 2nd baseman, Tyler Petterini. And batting 9th at short is going to be Jonah Sebring. Well, these Whitecaps have taken 3 of 4 from the Mariners thus far. First matchup came all the way back on June 20th here at White House, a 9-3 victory for the Mariners. But then the next one, it's where it started to go all downhill from there. July 5th at White House, the Mariners got blown out 7-1 in a game that was delayed and kind of drawn out. They couldn't hold out on that one. And then in the home around the 4th of July on the 6th at Brewster, it was a 12-6 loss for the Mariners, a rout from the Whitecaps. And then the most recent matchup back on July 15th at Stony Brook Field was a 4-3 Mariner loss, a heartbreaker at that, where the Mariners tried to surge in the 9th but couldn't pull it together. The Hunter D'Amato leading things off, the 3rd baseman for the Whitecaps. D'Amato, a junior of Fairleigh Dickinson, from Coral Springs, Florida. About 45 minutes from Lone Depot Park down there. And Probst is ready to go, and we're just about to be underway here. And the first pitch is going to be swung on and missed at 6:34 p.m. And we're ready to play some baseball. D'Amato holds 4 combined hit games and 3 runs through his first 3 games in Brewster. Provided 3 hits in 11 games with the Bristol Blues of the New England Collegiate Baseball League. And now making the move to Brewster. It's a 1-1 count now to D'Amato as he swings and misses to make it 1-2. Probst is a guy who's so versatile out there on the mound wide. He can pitch to contact, get ground ball outs, pop flies, as well as pick up strikeouts. Very disciplined, holds himself to a very high standard, and always fun to watch out on the mound.
He's a really fun guy to watch. You know, you consider when you're coming in, you had a year behind you at Alabama as well, and for Probst, he wants to restore some continuity that he began to have last year here with the Mariners and started off as a starter. Now it's a chance to get a first strikeout.
2-2 is going to miss just outside to make it 3-2. Probst, a 2nd-year Mariner. Last year had a 3.09 earned run average. Started 3 games, appeared in 9. And an all-star campaign last summer for him as well. 3-2 is going to miss outside, and it's a 6-pitch walk to start off D'Amato.
Probst not one too susceptible to giving away quick walks to start innings. In this past season at Alabama, his first season there, 22 strikeouts to 13 walks dealt. He pitched just under 18 innings, 2-1 with that 4.08 ERA. An opportunity here for Probst to get that second win here tonight, but it won't be easy against a Brewster team that's averaging nearly 5.5 runs over the last 5 games, despite being at just 2-3.
Michael Robertson digs in, the center fielder for the Whitecaps, hailing out of Venice, Florida, attends Florida Gator. They just lost in the College World Series final. And Robertson now reporting to Brewster, and he's become an integral part of their lineup, hitting .212. As breaking balls dropped in there at 81 from Probst, and he's quickly ahead 0-1.
Brewster, unlike Harwich, very untendant or lacks tendency to steal bases in the bottom 3 in stolen bases this season. And they're not going to want to run on Brian Arntz. You know that, Devin, given that he's caught 16 thieves on the base pass this season, the most in the Cape Cod Baseball League.
A ball and a strike now from Probst as he comes set, checking the runner. And now comes home. This one's going to be lifted out in the left center field. Ranging over is Cam Leary. And he puts it away. That's his first put out in a Mariner uniform, and there's one away.
So just what Probst was used to last time, in which he only allowed just an earned run, 3 hits, a walk dealt, 4 strikeouts in his first start of the season. That 3-run home win against Wareham. Just needs to keep his defense moving here today and have that good movement on the slider that he's able to show, especially with 2 strikes.
Mariners coming off a heartbreaker at the hands of the Wareham Gatemen out at Spillane Field, a 5-4 loss. The game ending with a throwout at home of LeCroy. As there goes the runner, Brian Arnt's throw is not going to be in time. It's a stolen base for D'Amato. But yeah, really tough one. And Cam Leary, we talked about how this is his first action in Harwich. He was scheduled to be the pinch hitter to come up if the runner wasn't gunned out at home. So unfortunately didn't get that opportunity, but he gets one here tonight in front of the home crowd. It's a ball and no strikes to James Tibbs, the all-star left fielder for the Whitecaps. As he checks his swing, that one clings off of Brian Arnt, and it'll be another 90 feet for Hunter D'Amato over to third base. Actually ruled that a ball after all, and so it'll be 2 balls and no strikes from Zane Probst. Yeah, it's been a tough stretch for the Mariners, but the Whitecaps in that same boat, coming off a 5-1 win against the Chatham Anglers, but they desperately need these points as that one's lined into right field for a base hit. In to score easily is going to be D'Amato, and it's 1-0 Whitecaps.
Brewster not averaging a ton of runs per game, almost similar to Harwich as well, averaging just under 4.7 runs per game. And in the last 5 games, they do have 8 home runs. They've gotten a lot of retention throughout their lineup. They still have Mike Irish. They have Brock Tibbetts for that matter, James Tibbs, who just gets the RBI single to put Brewster head first. And they can threaten early and often, especially with this guy, the cleanup hitter, and Jared Jones.
Jared Jones, a home run derby, home run contest participant here at White House the other day, despite not being on the all-star roster. Put on a show for the fans in what was a spectacular day last Saturday in Harwich. Jones behind in the count 0-1 as he fouled that one off. Over at first is James Tibbs. Whitecaps up early 1-0. Here comes the 0-1. And it's going to be fought off to the right, and it's 0-2. The Mariners have allowed the least hits in the Cape Cod Baseball League this season at 288. Mariners clearly have the edge in the pitching matchup here tonight, but Brewster's offense completely clears the Harwich. 0-2. Misses just down low, and it's 1-2.
2 teams with also top 4 defenses in the Cape Cod Baseball League as well. Should be an exciting matchup. You saw Daniel Rivera at second base there just trying to field that ground ball, but just pulling to the left side a little bit on that prior play.
1-2. Swing and a miss. Down goes Jones. First strikeout for Zane Probst, and there's 2 away. Let's take a minute and meet the Harwich Mariner defense. They are 4th in the Cape Cod Baseball League with 44 errors and a .967 fielding percentage. Out in the outfield, Cam Leary's in left with Jacob Humphrey in center. Devin Obie's your right fielder. Third to first, Kevin Keister's over at third. Ali Camarillo's at short. Daniel Rivera at second. Ethan Anderson at first with Brian Arnt doing the catching for Zane Probst. Pickoff attempt is unsuccessful over at first base. Is back in there with a dive is Tibbs. Mariners wearing their red shirt Friday uniforms to honor the troops. As first pitch to Will Turner is going to miss down low for a ball. It says Cape Cod Baseball in camouflage across the front with camouflage numbers trimmed in black camouflage hats as well with their home cream pants and navy socks. The 1-0. Broken bat is lifted into right field for a base hit. Rounding second, headed towards third is going to be Tibbs without a throw. And just like that, there's runner at the corners for the Whitecaps here with 2 away.
Brewster getting a convincing win over Katuitt at Lowell Park, similar to what the Mariners did as well just last week. And you can tell that Brewster is very eager to get an early lead here, try and put some pressure against Zane Probst. Brewster only a half game out of third place in the Cape Cod Baseball East Division, very much needing of a win here tonight on the road.
Brings up Jaime Ferrer for the Whitecaps. Jaime, native of Tallahassee, Florida, attends Florida State, hitting .312 this season. First pitch to him is going to be right down the middle for strike 1. Ferrer appearing in his 31st game for the Whitecaps. Not a bad .312 mark as he's behind in the count 0-2 now. Brewster wearing their road navy uniforms. Says Brewster across the chest in kind of a tie-dye print as this one's going to be grounded into the sliding glove of Keister. He goes to second, makes the play. Kevin Keister with a big inning-ending out to avoid another run on the scoreboard as Zane Probst surrenders the first. We head to the home half. 1-0 Whitecaps will beat the Mariners on the other side of the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. We welcome you back here. Devin Dobek, Wyatt Copeland alongside you here in Al Graber press box as the Whitecaps lead this one 1-0. Rocco Reed getting the start for the Brewster Whitecaps here tonight. Comes in out of Clemson with an 0-3 record, 6.20 earned run average. 9th game, 4th start for Reed. He's pitched 20 and a third innings, 22 hits, 14 earned runs, 14 strikeouts to 9 walks, desperately in search of a win, and a big one here tonight against the Mariners as we take a look at their starting lineup for Coach Steve Engler. Leading off in center field is going to be Jacob Humphrey. Batting second at third base is Kevin Keister. Batting third, the first baseman Ethan Anderson. Batting cleanup, the designated hitter Elijah Lambros. Batting fifth, the right fielder Devin Obie. Batting sixth, the shortstop Ali Camarillo. Batting seventh, the catcher Brian Arndt. Batting eighth in left is going to be Cam Leary. And batting ninth at second is Daniel Rivera. Humphrey missed a couple games due to a nagging back injury, but is back now here leading things off. He's been able to play through the pain, but of course you always want your guys to be 100% when they're out there. He's even in the count 1-1 now as Reed really making quick work out there on the mound. Not much time in between pitches as this one's lifted out in right center field. Ranging over is Michael Robertson, and he'll make the catch here for out number one.
Well, Harwich had 2 leads back in Wareham 2 nights ago and even realized that those weren't safe. You know, almost a 1 or 2-run lead is really never safe in the Cape Cod Baseball League when you have so much hitting talent, even as the Wareham Gatemen did at the bottom of the West Division. So they're going to need to find a way to get a bigger lead than they did 2 nights ago and had that game-tying run tagged out of the plate.
First pitch to Keister is going to be fouled off towards the Brewster dugout. It's 0-1. Brewster wearing their navy road uniforms, as I started to say. It says Brewster in like kind of teal and navy across the chest. They have their white pinstripe pants on and navy caps with that teal brim. Numbers also tied on the back. Be 2 balls, or a ball and a strike now to Kevin Keister. Next pitch is going to be in there for a strike. It's 1-2. Keister made that beautiful sliding play in the top half of the inning to retire the side. It would have been 2-0 Brewster if that one got by him, as he swings and misses there, and it's going to be the first strikeout for Rocco Reed to make it 2 away.
Yeah, Reed certainly trying to focus on lowering his ERA this season after going 0-1 with an 8.1 ERA through 16 appearances at Clemson. Off to a good start here, 2 up and 2 away.
Ethan Anderson will dig in for the Mariners, the switch hitter coming off an 0-for-3 campaign out at Wareham, as he chops this one into left field for a base hit. Mariners have their first hit of the ball game, and it comes here with 2 outs.
Yeah, it's been a huge quality to appreciate about Ethan Anderson, his ability to drive in contact on the ground, that time getting the Mariners' first hit on the ball game. Seeing eye single there, just a little bit too slow moving of a ground ball. The way that it had a little bit of backspin, just moving past Amato and Sebring in the 5-6 hole.
Elijah Lambros, the cleanup hitter, coming in for the Mariners. He's had 3 multi-hit games since getting here just over a week and a half ago. A huge pickup for the Mariners this season as he watches ball 1 miss to make it 1-0. Umpiring crew tonight, Robert McHugh calling the balls and strikes, with Chris Ingstrand at first and Robert Melms at third. This one's going to be chopped over to the shortstop and Jonas Sebring. He'll go on to second, take the force play there, and the side is retired. Well, we didn't get to meet the Brewster defense. We'll do that in a second. 1-0 Whitecaps as we advance to inning number 2. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. To the second inning we go. It'll be the bottom third of the order for the Whitecaps. Dylan Leach, Tyler Petterini, and Jonas Sebring. It's going to be a 1-0 count. 80-mile-per-hour off-speed pitch from Probst to start the top of the second. Whitecaps leading 1-0 here. As Probst into his motion, the pitch is check swing in there for a strike anyway. Another breaking ball, and it's 1-1. You'll see Probst constantly using that rosin bag almost religiously. Definitely helps him with his grip and stuff like that as that one's lifted out into center field. Jacob Humphrey tracking under it and makes the catch right in front of the warning track for out number 1 here in the second.
And actually, I heard this before the actual broadcast and before the Mariners actually got on the field for their IO here today. It was actually supposed to be Josh Sanders set to start, but then he was scratched for Rocco Reed. So Reed certainly in need of a win here. Certainly can deal some strikeouts as well. 0-3, however.
This one's going to be cracked on the first pitch over to Daniel Rivera. An easy 4-3 put out, and just like that, 2 up, 2 down in the blink of an eye here. Brings up Jonas Sebring, made his debut against the Mariners back on July 15th. And ever since then, he's been hitting .095, not his best campaign, making his 10th appearance for the Whitecaps. Only has had 21 at-bats, though. Really good defender out of UC Santa Barbara. As Probst's already into his motion, and the pitch in there for a strike to make it 0-1. 92 mile per hour. Maybe a cut fastball that time from Probst. Had a little bit of movement, but still the velocity there. A great pitch if you can locate it. 0-1. In there for a strike on the outside corner to make it 0-2. Sebring didn't like it, shaking his head. And now he's going to have to protect his Probst way ahead. In the windup, the pitch is spoiled off the end of the bat, and it flutters back towards the backstop here, and so we stay at 0-2. Nice breeze blowing through the press box here at White House on what was a very warm day, a high just below 90 up in the 508. 0-2 is swung on and missed. Zane Probst with a big off-speed pitch to ring up Jonas Sebring. Strikeout number 2 for Zane Probst, and it's a 1-2-3 second for the Brewster Whitecaps. To the bottom half we go. Back in a flash here at the house. 1-0 Whitecaps on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back here quickly for the home half of the second. It'll be Devin Obi, Ali Camarillo, and Brian Arndt due up for the Harwich Mariners. 3 straight All-Stars in this lineup. Steve Engler has loved to pair the 3 of them together. Seems like they're always back-to-back-to-back in any which order, but Devin Obi now will dig in, coming off a multi-hit game at Spillane Field. Actually had an RBI as well. He's been a huge pickup for the Mariners, and not some fantastic seasons at Duke, hitting just .230, but for the Mariners, has really started to be a reliable bat in that lineup, hitting .235, but leads the team in RBI with 17. Also tied for the team lead in hits with 24 with Ali Camarillo.
Look around the Cape Cod Baseball League. The Highness Harbor Hawks head of the Wareham Gateman 4-3 in the top of the third at McKeon Park. Brewster Whitecaps, of course, had 1-0 here.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Devin Obi, and yeah, a lot of great matchups going on, and when you think about all the playoff implications, really exciting as things come down to the wire.
Look at Tuitt Kettleers down 24-1.
I'm not sure that can be correct as Devin Obi strikes out, and there will be a 1 away here in the second. We definitely need to do some fact checking. How many hits?
24 runs on 23 hits. The Falmouth Commodores scored 14 runs in the 5th inning at Lowell Park. Just from what I'm seeing.
That will be a long ball game.
The Yarmouth Dennis Red Sox had 3-0 on the Bourne Braves at Doran Park in the 3rd inning. The Orleans Firebirds and the Chatham Anglers are playing a doubleheader today.
Any update on game 1? No update on point streak. Hey, sometimes it fails us. It's 1-0 now to Camarillo. Devin Obi going down, and second strikeout for Rocco Reed as the 1-0 is going to be chopped through the legs at 94 miles per hour on that pitch, and it's 1-1. Ali, a day one Mariner. He's had what seems to be the clutch gene all season long, hitting just 198, but 12 RBIs, and they've come at critical times as he rolls this one over to the shortstop, Sebring, on the first. 6-3 put out for out number 2 here in the second.
And just going back to your point on Camarillo, someone who has really hit for contact at very important times this season, despite having a few quiet nights over the past couple of weeks as the Mariners are trying to piece together as many wins as possible. Still a very valuable piece here to this lineup where he's had 2 run doubles and he's had as many as 3 games in a row with 2 hits in each of those games. So it still leaves you to wonder just how he can kind of bottle that up and contain it to also save it for the playoffs as the Mariners look to make a strong push.
Brian Arndt's turn as he watches strike one down the middle at 92. Brian Arndt, the all-star starter for the Harwich Mariners. Whitecaps had a handful of starters, including Joey DiChiaro, who started the game with a 1-2-3 with a pair of strikeouts. He's fantastic, but since has left Brewster a critical piece. He had 4 wins this season. No balls, 2 strikes to Brian Arndt, the catcher. And here it is. It's going to be a high chopper over to the second baseman who blows a tire. Petterini just all of a sudden tripped or something. And so that will be scored, a base hit for Brian Arndt on what was a weird play. It looked like it was going to be a 1-2-3 second. But maybe Harwich can capitalize on this little blunder as they have a runner on with 2 away.
Yeah, you take base runners as you can get them. Of course, Harwich trying to find a way to drive in some runs here after bringing just 4 to the plate back in the first. Opportunity for Cameron Leary step into the lineup for the first time here to try and make that happen. Looks like Brewster's going to play the pull here against the southpaw hitter.
First pitch misses up and in to make it 1-0. And for Cam Leary, looking forward to seeing what he provides to the Mariners this season. Out of Boston College, a native of Bethpage, New York, watches a strike drop in to make it 1-1. Leary standing in from that left side, facing the lefty and Reed. Over at first is Arndt as breaking ball misses way up, and it's 2-1. Be a big opportunity to make a name for himself in a Harwich Mariners uniform if he can extend this rally to Daniel Rivera, who's been scorching hot. We'll get more to his numbers shortly as this is going to be grounded over to the shortstop Sebring. It'll go over to first way high. It goes towards the Brewster dugout. Advancing over to third is going to be Brian Arndt, and just like that, back-to-back mistakes from the Whitecaps put runners on the corners with 2 away.
Yeah, Brewster has only 39 errors on the season to this point, so it's just averaging about an error under. So looks like it's going to be a hit and an error here to allow Brian Arndt to get over to third. And right now the Mariners just trying to keep Brewster into making their own errors right now, especially with, as you mentioned, Daniel Rivera being so hot, a prime spot to step up in here with 2 away.
Rivera stands in out of Kansas State from that right side and waits the first pitch. Here it is. Misses outside, and we'll quickly run you through the Brewster defense before I forget again. They are second in the Cape Cod Baseball League with 39 errors and a .971 fielding percentage. In the outfield, James Tibbs is in left. Michael Robertson's the center fielder with Jaime Ferreira at right. Hunter D'Amato's at third. Jonas Sebring's your shortstop with Tyler Petterini at second. Jarrett Jones at first. And Dylan Leach doing the catching for the pitcher in Reed. 2 balls and no strikes to Daniel Rivera. And updating these game notes as we do every day, why it's kind of hard with all the player turnover to gauge who's worthy of kind of being included as the team leader in a certain category. Daniel Rivera met that threshold for me, and by my opinion, he leads the team in OBP, slugging, average, and OPS. Based on plate appearances and time spent in Harwich. Of course, there are a couple guys higher, but a smaller sample size. 3 balls and no strikes, but an 802 OPS for Rivera. 282 batting average, 385 slugging, and 417 OPP. He has been unbelievable since arriving, and really fortunate to have him holding down second base. Here comes the 3-0. In there for a strike, and it's 3-1. Rivera was headed to first base, but he'll have to dig back in.
I mean, if you just look at the 7 bases and the 2 doubles he had in that Wareham loss 2 nights ago, that might just be enough to consider him as one of the best pieces in the bottom third of the lineup, playing 15 games now.
3-1 in there for a strike, and just like that, we're loaded full at 3-2. Rivera coming off a 3-for-4 day out at Wareham. Also had a couple doubles. He's been fantastic at moving the chains for the top of the order. Ready for the 3-2 pitch. Has yet to take a swing in this at-bat. Here it is. And it just missed inside as Rocco Reed, jumping in frustration, thought he hit the spot, but home plate umpire and Robert McHugh says no. So now they're all loaded up with nowhere to put them for the top of the order, and Jacob Humphrey.
That's quite the time to get your first walk on the game if you're Daniel Rivera. Just patient in that at-bat, and especially made Reed try and battle back. And now pay the price for him. Bases are loaded here.
And that's why that on-base percentage is above 400 at bats like that Rivera is able to get deep into and draw walks. First pitch to Humphrey is going to get him. So there you go. Jacob Humphrey picks up an RBI after paying the price, getting hit by the baseball, and the Mariners have put together a little 2-out rally to tie the ball game out 1-1.
Yeah, and doing it without even a particular pitch to leave the outfield as well. You get Daniel Rivera to see at least 5 pitches, and then Brian Arntz, despite falling behind the count 0-2, was able to fight off a pull hit over towards the right side. And this is what Harwich can do sometimes when it's able to find conducive ways to move runners around. They're able to reap the benefits, and I think they're just going to have a quick mound visit here, especially it's just too early to warm someone up if you're Brewster. Rocco Reed trying to lower his ERA to this point in the season, and he's already in a huge test.
And got to be pretty frustrating for him. It kind of feels like what Harwich has been going through. Got 2 quick outs, and then a blunder from the second baseman and Petterini just falling over on a ground ball that would have ended the inning. And then to add insult to injury, there was an E6 from the shortstop in Sebring that extended the inning even further. And now the Mariners have scored a run off it. That run, of course, will be unearned. And so now Harwich a chance to take the lead thanks to a couple of Brewster mistakes. Kevin Keister struck out swinging back in the first. See what he brings here in his second at bat. First pitch is going to be just below the knees. A really good spot to miss for Rocco Reed, and he's now behind in the count 1-0. Keister, a Maryland Terrapin out of Smyrna, Delaware, as he fouls that one off to make it 1-1. Hitting .462 this season across his 3 games for the Mariners. That's 6 hits and 13 at-bats. Also scored a run and tallied an RBI. On-base percentage of .462. He's been sensational. Another big pickup for the M's. 1-1 pitch. Misses up high, 2-1. Always good to be ahead in the count with the bases loaded. Pitcher then has to come to you sometimes, so you got to just find a way to get a bat on the baseball. A hit could break this thing open early as we're set for the 2-1 offering. And swing and a miss to make it 2-2. On deck, Ethan Anderson. He'd love a chance with a bunch of RBIs. He's been an RBI machine in the last week, tallying 6. Here comes our 2-2 offering to Kevin Keister. And it's going to be fouled off to the right and out of play. Out towards the woods there as the mob of children runs after. I always feel bad for those really young, like 3, maybe 4-year-olds that really don't get that nice jump that the 7- and 8-year-olds do, and they really just got no shot, but they still try and go get the ball.
Yeah, you have to pay your dues at some point.
2-2 pitch. Misses outside, 3-2. And so now Keister can score a run in a lot of ways. Base hit, a walk, getting hit by the pitch. Anything will do at this point for Harwich, just looking to get ahead of a Brewster team in what will be a pivotal matchup here today. Early on in the ball game, a payoff pitch coming with 2 outs. The runners will be on the move. Here it is. And it's going to be flied out into right field, going over as Ferrer, and that one bounces. One hops the wall. In to score already 2 runs. Here comes a third, and it's a bases clearing double for Kevin Keister. The Mariners lead this one 4-1 now as the Maryland Terrapin with a big 2-strike swing. And it's a 4-run second thus far, and for Brewster, you got to be shaking your head. All this could have been avoided.
And it's just what Harwich has had to take advantage of, except on the other side, usually it's accustomed to seeing its 2-out blunders fall against it when you're trying to get out of innings. You're trying to get your particular lineup back up to try and give your pitcher more chances. But right now, Harwich is certainly dealing and finding ways to get around.
Ethan Anderson's turn. He singled back in the first inning. Another single to make this a 5-1 ball game, most likely. First pitch to him is going to be cut on a miss. A high fastball at 92 miles per hour to make it 0-1. Got to feel good for Zane Probst as well to go back out there on the mound with a lead. Can never take that for granted, especially as a starting pitcher. 0-1 is going to be grounded off the glove of the pitcher, and then Sebring can't recollect it. So Ethan Anderson on base once more, and they're going to credit him a base hit for that. So now Harwich with runners on the corners once again with 2 outs in the inning. We'll go to a 9th batter in Elijah Lambros. How about 7 guys coming up for the Mariners after 2 outs were recorded to start the inning?
Well, that's exactly what Zane Probst faced back in the first, and he held the Whitecaps just 1 run of damage. So if you're Probst right now, you have to feel a little bit better that your lineup is trying to go out there and not only rely on unforced errors from the Whitecaps, but also taking some initiative, especially from Keister, the new arrival.
First pitch misses up high now to Lambros. He grounded into a fielder's choice back in the first. He's 0 for 1. 2 on, 2 away. Mariners leading 4-1 early on in the ball game, as this one will miss outside to make it 2 balls and no strikes. Rocco Reed really struggling with his control. Still no one up and going for the Whitecaps in their bullpen. Yeah, we can't continue to harp on the error and then the misplay by the 2 middle infielders for the Whitecaps, but they could have a 1-0 lead and be up to bat right now. As snap throw is barely snagged by Jared Jones over at first, almost got into right field, which would have been a lot of trouble.
And Harwich also with its first 4-run inning since taking that win over Katuitt just last Thursday. That was a huge win for the Mariners, their biggest on the season, and a chance to extend here too.
3-0. Is going to be on the outside corner first, strike a borderline pitch, but getting the call that time is Reed, and now Lambros a chance to swing the bat. He's been really hot here for the Mariners. And we'll see if the cleanup man can cash in. The next pitch is going to be lifted into shallow left field and down for a base hit. The Mariners continue to pour it on here. That will be their 4th hit recorded in the inning. They're now up to 5 in the game, and they lead the ball game 5-1.
I think this is that point where you start to have flashbacks of your offense's highest potential, albeit you had a couple of unforced errors that helped you out, get runners on the base pass, but Devin Obie, one of your hottest RBI hitters this season, coming up and double could clear the bases again.
5-run second and counting for the Mariners. So here's the first pitch. And it's going to be lined into left center field for a base hit. Rounding third, heading home is Anderson. Lambros digging into third, standing, and Obie in the second with a stand-up double. The Mariners with a 6-run inning tying their season high, and they now lead the Whitecaps 6-1.
And Obie had that grand slam as the Mariners took that early 6-run lead against Chatham. 6 runs in the first, now 6 runs in the second. And you could tell the Mariners are just trying to find that balance in the lineup, and they're getting it with a lot of different special performances to start here. As you see, it looks to be Elijah Lambros having a good word with third base coach in Mark Thibault.
So second and third for Ali Camarillo, trying to really put this game into another level for the Mariners here at home, as Brewster's going to get someone up and warming. Here comes the first pitch to Camarillo. That one runs inside, almost got Ali, but he's able to dance out of the way, and he's ahead in the count now 1-0. Brian Arnn on deck. Mariners have their 11th hitter in the inning up. They've already batted around and trying to add some more runs before heading to the 3rd inning. Here's the 1-0. And it's going to be lined into center field past the leaping Petterini. In to score easily is going to be Lambros. Obie right behind him, and the Mariners with an 8-run second inning. They now lead it 8-1 over the Whitecaps. I don't know who saw this coming, as Ali Camarillo picks up his first hit of the ball game, and everyone has been on base.
And this has to feel flustering if you're Rocco Reed. You're pitching for a Whitecaps team that has the third highest ERA in the Cape Cod Baseball League, and you want to try and put a little bit of stoppage here to this Mariners onslaught where the Harwich Mariners have had a lot of reliant hitting on different guys in the lineup. Brian Arndt also trying to get another hit here after that infield single earlier here in the second. And I'm not sure what you do if you're Jamie Shevchuk. You're going to certainly have to look to your bullpen here, but this is not what you needed coming into White House Field when you already won 3 straight in the series.
The Mariners have scored 8 runs here in the second. Everyone in the lineup has scored except Ali Camarillo, who stands over at first. A chance to get drove in here by Brian Arndt. I mean, this has just been fantastic to take in some offense. Brewster leading to this Harwich big inning by a couple errors earlier in the ballgame. One mental and one that will be recorded on the stat sheet. First pitch to Arndt is going to miss outside for a ball. It's 1-0. Yeah, this thing has gotten ugly quickly for the Whitecaps. Getting pounded on the road. 1-0 pitch. His breaking ball dropped in there to make it 1-1. Arndt has already singled in the inning. He came around to score and tie the ball game. Here comes the 1-1 from Reed. And swing and miss from Brian Arndt. It's 1-2. Camarillo over at first. Not sure if he'll be put in motion here with 2 away, but would not be very surprised. He's got a healthy lead off of first base. Pitch is going to drill Brian Arndt. Got a piece of him. And the inning extends once more as Camarillo heads into second. And Arndt will take his place at first for the first time, or the second time today.
You think about how this inning started for Rocco Reed. It seemed as if he would only maybe face 4 batters, if not only 3, as he was on verge of actually getting the Mariners down in order, strikeout swinging, then a ground out. His defense was moving behind him in the first. That was a similar case as well, and it's completely unraveled. Just a couple of Brewster mistakes, teaching Harwich a lot about itself right now, about what can happen when you're able to take advantage of those.
Cam Leary's turn. Reached on an error as he lines that one into left field for a base hit. Camarillo headed home. He will score. Brian Arndt digging into third as it's going to be a stand-up double for Cam Leary. His first hit as a Harwich Mariner makes this ball game 9-1. And Harwich really putting together a masterful second inning.
I think that's going to be it here. Jamie Shevchuk has seen enough to the point where Reed is past the tipping point and just trying to limit damage here. I mean, the Mariners to get 9 runs in a second inning. This is the best you could have asked for after a day to recuperate mentally, physically as well. And that is the day for the left-hander.
So we'll take a break, step aside. Mariners with a 9-run second. They lead at 9-1 here from White House. We'll be right back in a flash on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Called on the bullpen, it's going to be Zach Mizrahi, who will dig in place of Rocco Reed. He had a really long second inning, gave up 9 runs after an error and a blunder. Prolonged the inning, and Harwich continuing to take advantage. They're not done yet. Daniel Rivera digs into that right-handed batter's box, and the first pitch to him is going to be outside for a ball. It's 1-0. So Reed, yeah, just 1 2/3 innings. He surrendered 8 hits in that time, and handful of runs, 9 of them, is credited with 2 strikeouts. As that one will be in there on the outside corner. That looked to be the same spot we saw with the first pitch, and so it's 1-1. Mizrahi coming set. And the pitch. Breaking ball is in there for a strike. It's 1-2. Mizrahi, 6'1", 195-pound left-hander out of Jacksonville, Florida, attends Penn State, making his debut for the Whitecaps here today. And already getting baptized by fire into a jam here. Inheriting 2 runners from Rocco Reed. 1-2 is going to be spoiled back into the netting. And so we'll now move the count to 1-2.
Zane Probst must be enjoying a little bit of leisure, at least here after facing 7 in the first and getting Brewster down in order. A little bit of chance to reset mentally.
1-2 is going to be grounded over to the third baseman. And D'Amato, he'll go on to first, and a really good stretch from Jared Jones to secure the out and end the inning. But the Mariners rattle off 9 runs with 2 outs. They just kept the rally going, batted around, and what a treat it was to watch, bringing up a total of 14 batters. We'll take a quick break, step aside, and be back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Well, into the third inning we go after an eventful second inning. The Mariners with 9 unearned runs on 8 hits. A pair of strikeouts and a walk also from Rocco Reed, whose night has ended. Zane Probst with some serious time away from the mound as his team gave him a healthy cushion, to say the least. They lead at 9-1. First pitch misses up and away. It's 1-0. 8 hits rattled off from the Mariners. A hits batsman in there as well, as everyone in the lineup came around to score those 9 runs. Each person, pretty crazy to see that. That's their season high runs total. They actually were able to tack on 3 more. It was at 6, and now it's 9. Not a better time to do it as the playoff race continues to unfold before our eyes. 2-0 cut on and foul tipped into the mitt to make it 2-1. Hunter D'Amato leading things off for the Whitecaps here in inning number 3. He walked and stole a base, came around to score back in inning number 1. 2 balls, 2 strikes now to D'Amato. Probst looking to pick up his third strikeout here in the third. Had one to end the second inning. 2-2. It's going to be popped but foul off to the left. And so we'll stay at 2-2. D'Amato hit .411 this season for Fairleigh Dickinson with 11 doubles. As he swings and misses at that one in the dirt, Brian Arndt going to have to make the throw down to first, and he does. Third strikeout for Zane Probst. He continues to cruise right along here in the third inning. Brings up Michael Robertson, the center fielder, hitting just .212 coming in today, as we mentioned. Flew out to left back in inning number 1. He struck out 12 times with an on-base percentage of .297, batting second for the Whitecaps here tonight. First pitch from Probst is going to be in there for a strike. It's 0-1. James Tibbs on deck, also due up in the inning. Probst looking to send the Whitecaps packing quietly, as that one's right down the middle to make it 0-2. It's been 5 straight retired for Zane Probst after he walked a man and gave up a single. It's actually been 6 straight retired, as this one's grounded over to the shortstop Camarillo, over to first, and barely in time. 6-3 put out to make it 2 up, 2 down in the third for Zane Probst.
He's really recovered well and settled in after facing 7 back in the first. An RBI base hit from James Tibbs, someone who you'd figure can provide an early spark here for Brewster, and finally starting to get a couple of strikeouts under his belt too, after getting 1 in the first and 1 in the second.
Gave up that earned run on 2 hits in the first inning. The Whitecaps did strand a pair as well, as the first pitch is going to be just below the zone for a ball. It's 1-0. Tibbs singled back in the first inning, was stranded at third. His team needs a lot more than a couple base hits to climb back into this one, as that one's on the outside corner for a strike. It's 1-1. Tibbs can't believe it. He has a few words for the home plate umpire. And yeah, I mean, if you're Brewster, morale cannot be too high over in that dugout. It has been a really dreadful stretch. As ball and 2 strikes now, the off-speed pitch able to get Tibbs. And now Zane Probst looking for a 1-2-3 third. He's just a strike away from doing so. 1-2. Bounced in the dirt to make it 2-2. Jared Jones on deck. Wareham, or rather Brewster, trailing 9-1. 8 hits for the Mariners, just 2 for the Whitecaps. Mariners season high hit totals 15. We'll see if they can tickle that number at all tonight as the game goes on. 2-2 is going to be in there. Strike 3, got him looking. Zane Probst settling down and rewarding his team, who gave him the offense with a 1-2-3 inning. Whitecaps go quietly. 4th strikeout for Probst. 9-1. The Mariners lead it. Heading into the home half of the third, we'll be right back on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Be Jacob Humphrey set to lead things off here in the bottom of the third inning. He's already had 2 at-bats. Flew out to center and was hit by a pitch, came around a score in the second inning. 9 unearned runs for the Mariners in the second. Line closed for Rocco Reed as Zach Mizrahi takes the rubber, and this one's grounded foul to make it 0-2. Yeah, everyone in the Mariner order scored in that inning. Each of those 9 runs. It was fun to watch, to say the least, especially with offense being few and far between for the Mariners as of lately. About set for the 0-2 to Humphrey. And misses outside to make it 1-2. Yeah, Mariners bringing up 14 batters in inning number 2, and the first 2 were retired, so they were able to bring up a dozen after those first 2 outs. This one's going to be ripped but foul over toward the Mariner bullpen. Humphrey got a good piece of that, just has to straighten it out, and it probably would have been extra bases. Reed's line, though, an inning and 2/3, 8 hits, 9 runs, all unearned, 2 strikeouts and a walk. So Humphrey fouls that one off, so we stay at 1-2.
The Mariners this season with 43 RBIs with runners in scoring position with 2 outs. They certainly found a way to capitalize there and make it a stronger characteristic against a Brewster team that's won 6 of its last 10.
Here comes the 1-2. And it's going to be grounded over to the shortstop, Sebring. Going to be a tough play against the speedy Humphrey. The throw, not in time. Jacob Humphrey legging that one out for an infield single. The 9th hit for the M's today. And they got the leadoff man on here in the 3rd.
You saw Sebring actually initially back up on it and then try and approach it a little bit more carefully to the point where he wouldn't get charged with an error. And Brewster infield has just not had it today. It's not like there have been too many awkward bounces either, but the speed of Humphrey outlasting the throw.
And Humphrey, the fastest guy on the Mariners, no doubt about it, leads the team with 15 stolen bases. First pitch is going to miss up high to Kevin Keister. He was the one who really got this rally started, in a sense. Had a double to clear the bases back in that huge second inning. Picked up 3 RBIs, and it's got to feel pretty good for him. That one misses outside to make it 2 balls and no strikes. Brewster just trying to keep their head above water here. Harwich trying to hit double-digit runs for, I believe, just the 5th time this season. 2-0 pitch is going to be in there for a strike, and it's 2-1. This burst of offense really came out of nowhere. The Mariners, a team hitting just .242 this season with a .329 slugging percentage and .673 OPS. Not the best marks for a club on the Cape. 2-1 is going to miss up high to make it 3-1. Humphrey gathering that lead off first. Not as big as it typically is, as that one misses inside. It's a 5-pitch walk to Kevin Keister, 2nd time he's been on base today. And so now 2 on with nobody away for Ethan Anderson.
Definitely a bit of a revelation. The Mariners are usually the team that are susceptible to giving out a lot of walks, and you have your relievers falling behind in counts despite having strong outings from your starters with high volumes of strikeouts. But the Whitecaps just the 3rd fewest walks in the league this season issued.
And a balk will be issued, which will send the runners into scoring position. Mizrahi can't believe it, as Harwich continues to say thank you very much, with Brewster making mistake after mistake.
I haven't really seen a lot of balks called as of late, but if you're Mizrahi right now, you have to be on the same page as your catcher right here in Dylan Leach, someone who's been here with Brewster for most of the season. You just need quick outs here.
As Anderson grounds that one over to the 3rd baseman, D'Amato. He'll go on to first for the out. The runner's forced to stay put. A really good heads-up play from D'Amato, and there's one away.
That's kind of been an Achilles heel and just giving away outs on the base pass for the Mariners. As of late, saw it twice over at Wareham 2 nights ago, where it seemed as if Harwich and the leading runner had an opportunity for an unforced out, and they fell susceptible to the defense from Wareham.
The Lambros, who digs in 1 for 2 with a single, came around to score as well. First pitch is going to miss outside, and it's 1-0. Base hit would give the Mariners likely 11 runs. Mizrahi comes set once again, pitching out of the stretch with 2 on and 1 away. The pitch. That's going to be in there for a strike. Looked like it might have been a little high, but it's ruled in the favor of the Whitecaps from Robert McHugh, and count even up at 1-1. Lambros with a 3-game hit streak coming in today as he watches that one drop in the zone for a strike, 1-2. Lambros has had 3 straight multi-hit games. Made his debut, went 0 for 3 with a run, a walk, and a pair of strikeouts. But since then has really never looked back as he'll be rung up this time. Another borderline pitch, and for Lambros, not being able to swing the bat in that AB has got to be really frustrating when he's rung up, as that'll be the first strikeout for Mizrahi, and there's 2 away.
Strikeouts have been hard to come by here for Brewster between Reed and Mizrahi, a team with just nearly 8 strikeouts on average over its last 5 games. Harwich doing a good job of extending at-bats here and not giving away those quick outs.
First pitch misses outside to Devin Obie to make it 1-0. He had a double back in the second inning. He also struck out in that second inning. Here comes the 1-0 offering to the Duke product. Swing and a miss, 1-1. Obie, tied for the team lead, actually leads the team now with 36 strikeouts, just surpassed Jacob Humphrey with 35. But he's been able to drive in a handful of runners and really make an impact despite all those whiffs, as he'll pop this one up in foul territory. Looks like there's room for Jared Jones. He misran it, and it's going to drop in. In to score 2 runs for the Mariners. That one fell in the Bermuda Triangle, and the Whitecaps continuing to embarrass themselves here on the road as it's now 11-1. They will rule that a hit in favor of Obie, his second of the day. Another multi-hit game for him, and Harwich now leads 11-1.
It's tough when you're a team in Brewster trying to win on the road, and although you only have 2 wins in your last 5 games and you're trying to get into Harwich's way for 3rd place in the division, you need that mental discipline. Right now it's just not making plays. Again, 2 outs away, or 2 away in the inning for that matter.
No balls and a strike to Ali Camarillo. He singled, came around to score in the second, also grounded out to the shortstop. 1 on, 2 away. The pitch. Runs inside, almost got Ali again. And it's a ball and a strike now. I tell you, the Mariners just continue to really show some resilience, even after outs. Situational baseball has been fantastic, and granted, did have a gift on that hit by Devin Obie, but they'll take whatever you can get. 1-1. Breaking ball in there on the outside corner. Tough pitch to hit if you're Camarillo. Probably pretty frustrated with that call. It's 1-2. Here comes the 1-2 pitch to Ali, and it's going to be grounded foul off to the left, and we'll stay there.
Big opportunity here to dig in for Camarillo, just trying to reset here in this at-bat. Of course, you want to give yourself another base hit here on the day after the RBI single to score just 1 run, but not exactly an opportunity here unless you're able to shoot it into the alley. Just need a single here to extend the inning.
Obie taking his lead off first as the pitch is going to be lined over the second baseman's head into center field. Obie rounding second, headed into third standing, and Ali Camarillo checks in for his second single of the ball game. And the Mariners extend their rally here.
And to think about how Harwich has just been able to manifest its potential here with this connected hitting from Camarillo to Obie. You've had a mix of singles, a couple of doubles as well, and some close plays from the Whitecaps that have extended this kind of inning for the Mariners, just in dire need of a win after dropping 2 straight. And the last time they faced Brewster, that tying run was left in scoring position, what would have forced 9th inning.
Felt like a rout when the Whitecaps were up. I think it was 12-4 at one point, but now the Mariners up 11-1 here at home. I mean, it's felt so much worse. It's kind of crazy as the roles reverse to kind of step back and think about everything that's gone on in the previous ball games. They still have one to go. The last game of the season will be at Stony Brook Field on August 2nd as Brian Arndt lifts this one out to right field and down for a base hit. In to score easily as Obi Camarillo will be held up at third as stand-up double for Brian Arndt. And the Mariners have rattled off their third run of the inning. They lead it now 12-1. I tell you, between Katuitt getting walloped by Falmouth and the Mariners crushing the Whitecaps, it has been an interesting day for offense in the Cape Cod Baseball League.
Harwich has not been the team that hits a lot of home runs this season, and right now it's proving that it can beat a team that's picked up a little bit of momentum in the East Division standings in Brewster, and that's just trying to inch its way closer towards succeeding in the playoffs, finishing off the regular season as strong as possible. But Harwich, again, with 2 runners in scoring position, 2 away, 1 hit can bring 2 more in.
8th hitter of the inning is Cam Leary. You watch his ball one miss outside. Leary reached on an error in the second, came around to score, also doubled in that second inning. Picked up a couple RBIs and now looking for a couple more. Brian Arnott at second, Ali Camarillo at third, 12-1 Mariners, as that one's going to catch the inside corner. For a strike, it's 1-1. Rivera, the second baseman, on deck. Mariners would love to bat around again and continue this streak of offense, as that one will get the batter in Leary to load up the bases, ran in and hit him. And yeah, I don't know what was in the Mariners' breakfast this morning, but they just completely have turned on the offense, tying their season-high run total now with 12, and we're just 2 outs into the third inning. Plenty of ball game left, Wyatt.
It induces a lot of confidence as well when you know that you're already ahead by 11 runs, still a lot of baseball left to be played for that matter, but for the Mariners just to be able to get some momentum going here, certainly uplifting as you're looking to extend your runs per game, in addition to just the number of hits that you can get in particular situations. And this is a great example of how that contagious hitting can be present at any night.
Here comes the pitch to Rivera, and he'll swing and miss for a strike. It's 0-1. Rivera walked, came around to score in the second, also grounded out in the third, or rather grounded out to third in the second inning to end what was a 9-run frame for the Mariners. 0-1 is fouled off again, and it's 0-2. First batter that Mizrahi faced was Daniel Rivera. Rivera looking for some revenge here. He's got 2 strikes on him. Going to have to protect. The bases are loaded. And another balk. Mizrahi making another mistake. And so now the Mariners lead at 13-1. That's a new season-high run total for them, and everybody shifts up a base to second and third. A big blunder with an 0-2 count to Rivera.
Mizrahi really unraveling here, and still nobody warming up for Brewster. I'd have to think that if he can't get one more here, as Jamie Shevchuk now has a conversation with the home plate umpire, I think if you lose this runner here, or lose a batter for that matter, and you give up another run on a base hit, or even if you fill the vacant first base bag if you're Rivera, that might be that cut edge, that threshold that you need to bring in a new pitcher, because at some point, if you're Brewster, you do want to actually try and get your lineup back up and see what it's made of.
Rivera with 2 ducks on the pond here. Out of the stretch is Mizrahi. He comes set. And the pitch. In there, strike 3, down goes Rivera. Watched it, looking a big strikeout. The second one, and looking in the inning for Zach Mizrahi. But the Mariners rattle off 4 more runs, fueled by 4 hits. A hit batsman, a walk, amongst other things. They lead it now 13-1. Heading into the middle third of the ball game. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Into the fourth inning we go. The Whitecaps trailing the Mariners 13-1. Didn't think I would be saying that at this time here today as I turn the play-by-play duties over to my partner, Wyatt Kopelman, for the middle third of the ball game.
All right, Devin, well, the Mariners certainly in control here against the Brewster Whitecaps, having brought 18 combined runners to the plate between the second and the third innings. They had 14 up to bat in the second. Quickly, 1-1 here to Jared Jones, up for the second time here today as Harwich leads 13-1 here to start the fourth. And Zane Probst, meanwhile, having his leisure time as the starter here tonight for the Harwich Mariners, as this one's going to be shot out towards left field, and it falls in front of Larry for a base hit. Just the third hit here today for the Brewster Whitecaps. But, Devin, you look at the control that Zane Probst has had. He's had 4 strikeouts to this point. Didn't strike out the side in the second or third, but got the side out in order, and is looking to translate that here into the fourth.
Yeah, and I mean, with all this time his offense has been doing, you got to think about the pitcher and consider his arm probably getting a little bit cold, sitting on the bench waiting while his team is helping him out essentially. But as a pitcher, you want to get in a rhythm and create that cadence so you're ready to go inning in and inning out. And Zane Probst, we'll see how he can respond after quite the break over the last 2 innings.
And you mentioned responding well. That's going to be key for him here, as he's done that across his only start on the season last time out in that 4-1 home win against Wareham, as he deals ball 2 here to Will Turner, the designated hitter of South Alabama. Got the Whitecaps' second hit of the game back in the first, but for Zane Probst to enter tonight, just a 1.64 ERA, has certainly looked in command as his offense behind him. He threw 2 scoreless innings, allowed just 1 hit in that 5-0 home win against Orleans as well. 3 strikeouts and 2 scoreless relief appearances, or relief innings for that matter, in his season debut. And the Mariners' walk-off win against the Katuitt Cavaliers. He has been there for the Mariners every time he's been called upon, as the 4-pitch walk here to Turner. So he gets Jared Jones in a scoring position here after Probst retired each of the last 6 he faced entering the fourth here. A little bit of traffic here from Brewster, so a long way to go in this one.
Yeah, and if you're Brewster, you're trying to play for the pride at this point. Obviously, you'd love to win, but that seems out of the cards as you trail by a dozen. Kind of a football score on the scoreboard. And so we'll see if they're able to be resilient and maybe put up a few runs, make this thing interesting, but pretty tall task.
Have you figured bringing in the second-string kicker for the PATs as of yet?
Yeah, no, they could use it. That's for sure.
Get a little bit of water for the starting kicker here today. The first pitch on the way to Jaime Ferrer as he shoots this one out towards left field, running all the way back to the track. Leary, he looks up, and that ball is long gone and way out of here. A huge blast here from Jaime Ferrer, and the Florida State outfielder gets the Brewster Whitecaps back into it a little bit here after getting the game's first run. Ferrer hits his 3rd home run on the season after back-to-back multi-hit outings, and it's a 13-4 ball game here with the Mariners out in front.
Yeah, that was a blast. I mean, that thing got a piece of the tree. It was a bomb. And, yeah, we were just talking about trying to make this thing interesting. That's exactly what the doctor prescribed. A long ball there to chase in a couple runs. And now just like that, Brewster trying to kind of create some momentum.
So as Zane Probst had sat for an extensive period of time for the second inning in which 14 batters were brought up for the Mariners, in addition to nearly batting around in the third as well. Zane Probst trying to work himself back into this one as it's 1-1 here to Dylan Leach following the 3-run home run. This one chopped foul to the right side. So for Probst, through 4 games this season, which culminated in 11 innings pitched, he had 7 strikeouts and now up to 11, but has yet to record an out here in the 4th inning. Brewster got on the board first before Harwich's 9-run second inning. This one lofted out towards left field. Leary's going to have to hurry, and he makes the catch for the first out here, giving Probst a little bit of help. There's one away here for the 6'4", 215-pound senior out of Mill Hall, Pennsylvania. Formerly transferred from the Seton Hall Pirates program in the Big East Conference, in which he actually threw nearly 50 innings there before transferring to Alabama. He went 2-1 this past season with an ERA just north of 4. Was dominant with the strikeouts. He dealt 22 across 19 games. So Leach lines out to left field as Tyler Petorini lines it over towards the right side, through for a base hit. And there's a one-out base runner here for Brewster. I'll tell you, the Whitecaps are not going away despite already going through 2 different pitchers. In Rocco Reed, after 1 2/3 innings, he gave it away to Zach Mizrohi. And aside from a little bit of struggling here, you can tell that Brewster is just trying to have a little bit of an answer late.
And you can't blame them. I mean, this game means a lot. You got to put it all out there. And granted, you're staring at a pretty steep hill, but why not try and make it interesting? And that's exactly what they're doing. I like how they've kept their approach the same. They haven't wavered in their offense, despite Spears probably not being low, or not being high, rather. And yeah, I mean, this is exactly what you want to see if you're Jamie Shevchuk.
Brewster entering tonight just a half game behind Harwich for third place in the Cape Cod East Division standings, a team that has two teams, the top two in Yarmouth Dennis and Orleans, already clinching the playoffs here today. Yarmouth Dennis at 21-16. That's where Harwich will go tomorrow to Red Wilson Field to try and take that division matchup in its final visit over there, as Probst tries to pick off attempt back over at first on Pederini. He's 1 for 2 here today as he passes it over to Jonas Sebring. We can also go 1 for 2 after striking out swinging back in the second. 3-run home run here from Jaime Ferrer, making an 8-run ball game, 9 runs for that matter, as this one's chopped to the left side foul. Probst closed out the third with a strikeout looking, had 2 punch-outs in what was a 1-2-3 job, replicated from what he did in the second as well. But an opportunity here for Brewster to try and make this more interesting. Jonas Sebring, the senior at UC Santa Barbara out west. He fouls it back as the count stays at 1-2. He's looking to end a 4-game hitting drought here after earning a pair of hits, 3 walks in his first 9 games with the Whitecaps, after hitting .322 in 32 games for a successful first season at UC Santa Barbara. A Whitecaps team that has kept the big core of its lineup around. Ike Irish not in the lineup here today. Will Turner part of that, in addition to Jaime Ferrer out of Florida State. That one just misses low. So Probst starting to lose a little bit of control here. Just a couple of pitches away from getting some outs here. The defense certainly having to move as well in order to make a couple of outs possible here to keep it short.
And bringing up the 6th batter in the inning, still just 1 away. You could really put a dent in this Harwich lead. That one was crushed off to the left, but foul.
Yeah, put a dent. I mean, we said it earlier, game's not over yet. Probst has done a good job of keeping Brewster from capitalizing in 2-out situations, something that the Mariners have done quite well here today with getting 9 runs on 7 hits, just 1 error, creating all 9 of those runs as unearned against the starter in Rocco Reed. He would be in the line for the loss, entering tonight 0-3 with an ERA just north of 6. And the 2-strike deal. And it gets called looking on the outer corner that time as Jonas Sebring got caught looking for too long. He's down on strikes for the 2nd time here tonight. Might have just been the best strikeout from Probst, the right-hander, today.
Yeah, and that's his 5th already here in just the 3rd inning, or rather the 4th inning. He's been fantastic other than the home run he gave up, and just continuing to throw strikes and play his game. And when his team was icing him unintentionally, it's got to be pretty nice to pick up a strikeout and continue that routine and rhythm.
And as you talk about the routine and rhythm, as Hunter D'Amato laces it into left field, it's through for a base hit. Pederini around second and charging into third, and he will get the stop sign from Scott Grimes, the third base coach, to throw into second just a little bit late. So a 2-out double here, keeping traffic on the base pass here for Brewster. But, I mean, you think about the hot start that Harwich has had. It had its most runs in a single inning here tonight, averaging just under 4.6 runs per game, entering tonight for the 2nd fewest in the Cape Cod Baseball League. You had to figure this is due at some point, especially with Harwich not too far removed from that convincing win here against Cotuit.
Yeah, and R.J. Thomas going to come out and talk with Zane Probst. He's given up 6 hits and those 4 earned runs here today. Definitely not what we're accustomed to seeing with Zane Probst, but like I said, you always got to factor in that time he's sitting on the bench, getting cold, losing his rhythm, and always affects the control, his velocity. Pitchers love to be in routines. That's one of their big things. They do it especially when they're the starting pitcher or they know they're going in relief. And for Probst to have that routine kind of altered by his team being so successful, it's made things a little more difficult. And now trying to pitch his way out of the 4th, which could probably be it. As it looks like Halibut's up in the pen and warming.
Reed Easterly having yet to pitch this week.
Actually, Jake Newman, the left-hander.
Newman as well. A couple of left-handed options for the Mariners here to fill Probst. Should the start come to a close after this batter. Mike Robertson out of Florida stepping up for the 3rd time here today. So 2 in scoring position. Pederini at 3rd. D'Amato at 2nd, as this one is laced back and it goes to 1-1. Probst has not shied away from the fastball. That time dealt it at 92 on the radar gun. Just trying to get Brewster to get some more cuts and misses here, already with 5 strikeouts here to this point. 3-run home run from Jaime Ferrer and a single and a double here from Petterini and D'Amato, getting Brewster its first run since the opening frame with a 1-out RBI base hit from James Tibbs. Ooh, that one just misses and got the letters. It's 2-1. Not to the liking of the home plate umpire in Robert McHugh. Probst trying for every strikeout here, just trying to stay focused on one batter. He pitched 7 innings last season in a start against Wareham. As a 3-1 flies outside, Probst trying to go with a changeup that time, as the bases are loaded here against the Alabama product, and this is where you're tested here. He's looking to ask for one more batter here from Steve Engler, the 20th-year skipper for the Mariners here, but I think that's going to be the day, as the Mariners are bringing a left-hander here for the Probst starter, and after going a convincing first 3 innings, running into a little bit of trouble here in the 4th, 2 away, pitching change here. We'll step away on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. James Tibbs, the left-handed hitter out of Florida State, due up here against a new pitcher into the ballgame. That's a left-handed reliever in Jake Newman out of Central Connecticut State, filling Zane Probst after going 3 2/3 innings, 5 hits, the line still open. And there's a nice changeup on the lower corner here to Tibbs. Had the RBI single to get Brewster on the board back in the 1st before Harwich struck for 9 runs on 7 hits, and those 9 runs unearned as well against the starter in Rocco Reed. Harwich also getting 4 more back in the bottom of the 3rd before Brewster was able to get a 3-run home run from Jaime Ferrer, his 3rd bomb on the season, as Tibbs looks at a 1-1 count here. Also home run threatening as well, the teammate of Jaime Ferrer down in Tallahassee of Florida State. 1-2 here as he bounces to the right side foul. Well, hits have not been unaccustomed for either side here today, and you have to consider that Brewster has to have a move forward mentality here despite not getting the strongest start out of Rocco Reed, the left-hander out of Clemson. The 1-2 is looped out and towards center field, moving back Humphrey. He makes a catch on the run as two runners stranded in scoring position. The bases left loaded here after a 3-run home run from Jaime Ferrer to get Brewster to within 9. So Brewster nonetheless scores 3 runs on 4 hits, no errors, and leaves the bases loaded. Just 1 out needed here, and Newman, the southpaw, able to get it as Harwich still leads 13-4, moving into the bottom half of the 4th here at White House Field. This is Harwich Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back live from White House Field, Harwich with a 9-run lead at 13-4 despite a 3-run home run from Jaime Ferrer. That drew in Will Turner and Jared Jones after a leadoff single and a walk against Zane Probst. And his final line, 3 2/3, 4 earned runs, 5 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Jacob Humphrey up for the 4th time here today. Boy, it has been quite the opportunity for everyone to get involved, and that is a mirror display for what the Mariners needed in order to take down the best team, the Cape Cod Baseball League, and the Cotuit Cavaliers last Thursday, as Humphrey shoots it to the left side foul past the third base coach in Mark Tebow. Humphrey here today, 1 for 2, reaches a hit batsman back in the second to draw in a run in Brian Arntz. It was 9 runs on 7 hits back in the second. Has to protect here, and he watches it high as it's 1-2. Well, Harwich couldn't have looked to any particular evening other than this one to get the lead it has sorely needed in the past couple of days, losing to Bourne, blew a late 2-run lead, and ultimately fell by 2 to the Bourne Braves. And then last night, or 2 nights ago for that matter, in Wareham, just not getting enough runs late and seemed to have the tying run in order to force extra innings, and instead they fell a run short 5-4 as the trailing runner in Talmadge Lecroy was gunned down at the plate. And the 2-2 from Humphrey is lofted deep out towards left field, moving back Tibbs to the track. He makes the catch right in front of the fence for the first out here in the 4th.
Good swing from Humphrey that time, just didn't get enough of it. Another 5 feet, it probably would have left the ballpark, but good swing and really encouraging to see the Mariners flipping the lineup card over for the 3rd time, and we're just into this 4th inning. A couple final scores around the league. Falmouth and Cotuit wrapped up a 27-2 victory for the Commodores. That is some serious run support. Hyannis on top of Wareham 4-3. YD beating Bourne 12-0 out at Doran Park. And of course, we have the score here. And Chatham on top of Orleans 2-1.
Devin, have you ever seen so many double-digit wins for so many teams on a night in the Cape Cod Baseball League? I mean, this is almost unprecedented at the point where the Mariners are not only getting a single game high in runs, or at least approaching that, but also getting 9 runs back in the 2nd inning. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this across any particular summer collegiate season.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. It makes you scratch your head a little bit.
Here's a comebacker back up the middle here from Kevin Keister at the lip of the outfield glass, Pederini, and he's able to make the throw over to first. How about the speed of Kevin Keister as he gets his 2nd hit on the day after doubling to right field back in the 2nd, and the Mariners now with 13 hits on the night, ahead by 9.
That was a sensational stop, though, by Pederini. Let's not let that one slip by, as he was really moving to get to the spot up the middle, and then pop-up slide, throw on to first, just not in time. A bang-bang play, and Brewster, unfortunately, just not getting any breaks right now.
Tough right now for Zach Mizrahi, relieving Rocco Reed, the starter for Brewster out of Clemson, after just 1 2/3 innings. And Mizrahi giving up 4 additional runs after Reed left the game in the 3rd. Now over to Ethan Anderson out of Virginia. Watches it outside as it goes to 1-1. So Harwich bringing 14 to the plate in the 2nd, helping get it back itself in the game and a whole lot more, miles ahead. Still no home runs here for the Mariners tonight as Anderson goes around, and Robert McHugh saw it right away. 1-2 here to the Virginia Beach, Virginia native. And he has started to experiment, but also just take initiative to bat from the right side of the plate. A switch hitter out of Virginia after 2 seasons has begun to flourish here in this Mariners lineup as he lofts it down the left side, and it's down for a base hit around second Keister, and he's off for third, and he will reach third standing up, the throw well wide, and it's a 1-run double here for Ethan Anderson. He now has 3 hits on the day, and the Mariners with an opportunity to extend their lead by more than 9 here, with Elijah Lambros out of Maryland stepping up again.
Yeah, I mean, these hits have just been unbelievable. Up to 14 now, that just one off the season high, and Ethan Anderson having himself a real nice game, hitting just 138 coming in today. He already has a 3-hit game, just 4 innings into this one. And yeah, it's just been really fun to watch this Mariner offense go to work.
Elijah Lambros with 3 RBIs through his first 3 games here in Harwich, 4 hits to help facilitate that. Out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. So a single moving Keister into third, despite it having a little bit of distance, as Lambros moves it over towards the right side, lobbed up for Jones in foul territory as there are 2 away here. Well, Harwich has certainly been tested here to try and move runners into scoring position and certainly needs runners to reach home, and that's what Devin Obie will try and do here. So 2 away here in the bottom of the 4th. Can the Mariners tack on additional runs? They're leaving up to a good guy here in Devin Obie, the outfielder, who has 15 RBIs on the season, has already played 30 games here for the Mariners, has really done a good job in sticking around here through the lineup. This one smashed out towards shallow left field, moving under it Sebring, the shortstop, and he makes an acrobatic catch in order to keep the Harwich Mariners quiet here in the 4th. So after Harwich got 13 combined runs between the 2nd and the 3rd and batted around for 14 batters to come up in the 2nd, they're unable to bring home 2 runners in scoring position in Keister and Anderson. Harwich still ahead by 9 moving into the 5th. This is Harwich Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. The Harwich Mariners have been in control since the 2nd inning. They had 9 runs on 7 hits. And in the 4th inning, or 3rd inning for that matter, got 4 additional runs. They lead 13-4 over their East Division opponent, the Brewster Whitecaps, as Jake Newman, the southpaw out of Central Connecticut State, making his 2nd relief appearance here on the season. Back on the mound here to face Jared Jones out of LSU, the first baseman. Jones 1 for 2 here today. Quickly heading the count 2-0. Just finished up his freshman season at LSU of the Southeastern Conference, hitting .312 here for Brewster. A tall hitter on the right side as he skies it to the right side. About a moon scraper that time up towards the light tower in right field as Obie jogs in and makes the catch for the first out here in the top of the 5th. Jones just coming off of a season that LSU was able to go the distance against the Florida Gators, an SEC opponent in the College World Series, and won its 7th national championship. Won in 3 games, went all the way, and won convincingly in that 3rd game. Now the first pitch, a fastball in the outer half here to Will Turner for strike 1. LSU winning its first national title since 2009. The Mariners looking to end a 2-game losing streak here tonight after losing to Bourne. 3 notes to go here at White House Field, and then fell on the road as well. Big pitch here for Newman as he misses outside with the slider. 3-run home run, putting Brewster a little bit closer to find a spark in the top of the 4th. 3-run home run from Jaime Ferrer. 1-2 the count here, and this one's a chopper over back up towards Newman, moving to his right, a high throw over to first, and he gets Turner just in time. 2 up and 2 away here. Newman certainly courageous through the entire play that time, and Anderson was prepared as there were 2 away.
Yeah, no, it's nice when you're able to settle into a game like Jake Newman is, especially with that 9-run cushion. Takes a lot of pressure off his shoulders, and now he can just focus on throwing strikes, getting batters out. pretty big when your offense can do something like that this early in the ball game, and it's going to pay dividends for the Mariners if they can keep it up.
An offense coming through at the right time as this one's rolled over to Rivera at second. He gets it onto first. And it's a 1-2-3 job here for Jake Newman. The Central Connecticut State product has retired all 4 he's faced since relieving Zane Probst after 3 2/3 innings of his start. Nothing across for Brewster. Harwich still ahead by 9 here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Nothing across for Brewster, and a dominant inning for Jake Newman out of Central Connecticut State. Harwich had 13-4 moving into the second half of the game here. Ali Comedy up to bat as we welcome in the third member of our broadcast here tonight on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network, Courtney Robinson. And Courtney, with certainly the All-Star game drawing in over 6,000 people, a lot of Harwich Mariners appreciating that here at home.
Yeah, Wyatt, it was a great night seeing everyone's hard work really come to life that night. But tonight, Brian Arndt is 2 for 2. He's reached base 3 times with a double to right field, a single to second. He was also hit by a pitch. I had a chance to catch up with him before the All-Star game, and we really talked about him returning for a second summer and how he's been able to take on a leadership position with this team. And that is exactly what he's done here tonight, really stepping up at the plate and helping lead the charge into a mass production of runs throughout these innings.
And you talk about leading the charge as well. We caught up with his folks as well, and they've been on the road with the Harwich Mariners over the past couple of weeks, driving up from Holly Springs, North Carolina. They have been supportive with him every way through his collegiate career, and that was certainly on full display over the All-Star game as well, as Ali Camarillo grounds it towards the left side, and a quick play here for the shortstop in Sebring, and it's just in time. But you talk about Arndt, just a high-character guy, a great disposition towards his game, and you can tell it's passed down from one generation to the next.
Absolutely, Wyatt. And as Arndt steps into the box, I'm going to hand it back over to Devin Dobek.
All right, Courtney, thank you so much. Well, Harwich looking for additional runs here in the fifth after getting nothing in the fourth on 2 hits and 2 left on. And you consider what Brian Arndt has here tonight. He has a double to right field and a single to second, aside from reaching as a hit batsman. Just another day here at White House Field for the second-year Harwich Mariner as he bounces it foul.
Yeah, and Arndt, not enough good things can be said here. It leads the league in throwing runners out with 16, as you mentioned earlier in the ball game. Wyatt, he's been the ultimate catcher at taking runners off the base paths and hitting for average, hitting for power. He's been doing it all.
So we'll have to protect here. Arndt at 6'2", 210. A rising junior at UNC Wilmington. Had 4 home runs for the Seahawks this past season. Staying alive in the at-bat, it's a huge quality that he's been able to bring here. Although it doesn't show up in the stat sheet, it's something that gave him a great boost to his first 15 games back here with Harwich this season. Had 12 hits, 6 walks, and 6 RBIs. Started with a 7-game on-base streak as well, with 5 combined RBIs in the Mariners' first handful of games. And in his season debut at Orleans, 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs in that 7-run victory, the Mariners' first road game on the season. And there's been nothing short of consistency that has been able to bring to the plate here for a Mariners team that needs that leader, especially on the defensive side as well. And that's what he said to Courtney and I when we were able to catch up with him last Saturday when the All-Star game was hosted here. Tried to hold up that time, and Chris Engstrand, the first base umpire, says he went around. As there's a strikeout here in the 5th, 2 up and 2 away for the reliever in Mizrahi of Penn State.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Arndt looked like it was a close play, but can't win them all, and he knows better than anyone what a real swing is as he watches a ton of them behind the plate, and unfortunately just doesn't work in the Mariners' favor that time. 2 up, 2 down.
Harwich getting 9 runs on 7 hits in the second, which had brought 14 to the plate, put a lot of stress on Rocco Reed, the starter, on the verge of falling to 0-4 on the season. Strike at the knees here to Cameron Leary. Bethpage, New York native, off to a hot start here in his Mariners debut. Actually played for the Brewster Whitecaps last year next to Kevin Keister. Talk about timing when you consider guys making their debuts long past the halfway mark of the season, trying to get some individual improvements before heading back to their collegiate programs here. Cam Leary just from the Boston College program. This one jammed back behind home plate to make it 1-2. But for Leary, not wasting time here tonight. The Mariners with 14 hits. Leary with an RBI double to score Ali Camarillo back in the 3rd inning. One more here from the reliever in Mizrahi as he gets it bounced foul. So Brewster finding a little bit of a spark back in the 3rd inning, rather the 4th, with a 3-run home run from Jaime Ferrer. Brewster, a team averaging just under 5.5 runs over its last 5 games and has been finding a lot of home runs as well to keep games close. Mizrahi looking for another punch out here. The 1-2 just inside. You could tell Leary has similar level of plate discipline as Brian Arndt as well for the Mariners that have found ways to get that contagious hitting that they've looked for, and they've had at times over the past 10 games as well with that win against Katuitt. That one outside, Mizrahi having a tough time finding the zone on a consistent basis, speaking of consistency.
Yeah, but not enough good to be said about the Mariner offense. Just to kind of segue to something else, Mariners, everyone in their lineup has a hit except Daniel Rivera, and he's been on base already as well and can score a run.
So Mizrahi gets a slider looking on the lower corner as the Mariners go down in order here in the 5th, but still ahead by 9. Nothing across for Harwich moving into the 6th here at White House Field. This is Harwich Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Dylan Leach, Tyler Petteroni, and Jonas Sebring due up here against Jake Newman, the southpaw of Central Connecticut State. Looking for another 1-2-3 job here in the 6th. And this has been quite the evening thus far here for Newman after Zane Probst got a pair of 1-2-3 jobs in the 2nd and the 3rd, following facing 7 in the 1st. An opportunity here for Newman to feel right at home. Could be on the line for the win as well, as Probst only went 3 2/3. Just missing high that time on a fastball. I tell you, Newman has commanded with the slider, and that is going to be troublesome here for a Brewster lineup with 4 runs on 6 hits, looking to gradually get back in this one. This one bounced over towards the left side. Quick play for Keister, and nobody will have it as it goes into left field. And that's the first base runner here against the first reliever for the Mariners in Jake Newman, as there's a leadoff base runner on here to start the 6th.
Yeah, and that one just cut through that 5-6 gap. A good swing, just all about placement sometimes, and Leach able to do it, put his squad in business here in the 6th.
So the first hit here for the Whitecaps since getting the 3-run home run from Jaime Ferrer back in the 4th. Brings back up Tyler Petterini, 1 for 2 here tonight. Jake Newman, having been here for a few weeks now, feeling a sense of initiative to make quick outs here against a Brewster lineup that is averaging just under 4.7 runs per game this year. This one bounced over towards the left side. Keister, the third baseman, gets it to second for 1. They throw on to first, just not in time. So fielder's choice here as Harwich gets the leading runner in Leach at second, and Petterini able to reach with 1 away.
And that was a really difficult play for Kevin Keister. The ball took a funny hop off the lip of the infield and hit him right in the chest. He was able to adjust, make the play on the second. You'll take the lead runner, especially with speed and Petterini heading down into first. You're not expecting to be able to spin that 5-4-3, and Harwich will settle for the 1.
And Mariners have had a good deal of timing on the double plays they have been able to turn this season with 28 on the year. Jonah Sebring back up here against Newman. Actually gave up the game-deciding run with an out and 1 walk surrendered in the 8th inning in that 4-3 loss against Brewster. Still looking for that 3rd strikeout on the season. He's gone a total of 1 2/3 entering here tonight. Sebring, meanwhile, looking to avoid his 3rd strikeout here, facing Newman for the first time. There's a nice slider on the outer half as it's 1-1. Brewster going down in order back in the 5th. A team with the 3rd highest ERA here in the Cape Cod Baseball League and has a 6.98 ERA over the last 5 games and was unable to keep that under control in the first 3 innings as Harwich got 9 runs in the 2nd, a single game high for the Mariners this season, 4 runs in the 3rd. Still just 1 away here. Ground ball double play can close it out here for Jake Newman. At Central Connecticut State, a 5.4 ERA with 6 wins earned this year in 75 innings. Has been leaning on that fastball here, but he'll have to battle back here against Jonah Sebring. Brewster 6-4 in its last 10 games, similar to Harwich, with 2 wins in its last 5. Big pitch here for Newman as he loses Sebring on 5 pitches, and the runners on first and second here. So the Mariners certainly not getting away quickly with this one. They have a 9-run lead, but their pitchers have had to battle back in counts, and this has been a good learning point when you consider how you're trying to develop pitchers individually if you're the pitching coach in R.J. Thomas.
Yeah, and, they're trying to figure out all these kinks before playoffs. They got the offense working tonight. The defense hasn't made an error, knock on wood, to this point, and now you just got to find a way to get your bullpen going, and Jake Newman, a comfortable situation to get some reps in here, especially with that 9-run cushion, so trying to fine-tune himself as Harwich looks to make the postseason.
A critical battle here for 3rd place in the Cape Cod East Division standings. This one rolled over towards the left side. Keister to second for 1. The throw on to first high, and it is in time. The Mariners get their 29th double play on the season, and they get Jake Newman of Central Connecticut State out of a small jam here in the 6th. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on in Petterini here for Brewster as Harwich preserves its 9-run lead going into the bottom half of the 6th here from White House Field. This is Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube Network. Back for more Harwich Mariners baseball, moving into the bottom half of the sixth here. Daniel Rivera, Jacob Humphrey, Kevin Keister due up here against Zach Mizrahi, the first reliever for Brewster. Third member of the broadcast tonight in Courtney Robinson. Tom Shimoleski out of Princeton. He was a left-handed starter for most of the season, still here with the Harwich Mariners. Native, who also pitched in the All-Star game, Courtney, he's been dominant this season, and he went 6 innings against Brewster earlier in the year.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Wyatt. Tom Chmielewski boasts one of the top spin rates in the league with 3,052 rotations per minute. Like you said, Chmielewski is a Needham, Massachusetts native. I was able to catch up with him before the game as well, being able to talk about what it was like to be a local and then be named a Cape Cod Baseball League All-Star growing up around the league. He talked about how it was a tremendous honor, and the first people he called to break the news to was his parents. So it was really a special day for him to represent the Mariners at his home field.
And his folks were in attendance here at White House Field as it's 3-0 here to Daniel Rivera in the bottom of the sixth. And you consider that for Tom, it's just a dream come true to be able to play in the league amongst the nation's best talent, in which he actually mentioned he came to Harwich Mariners games growing up. Just a real honor for him to be in the Cape Cod Baseball League as it's a leadoff walk here for Daniel Rivera. Just a lot to look forward to here for Tom, showing a lot of tremendous progression after a couple of seasons at Princeton.
Absolutely, Wyatt. Now I'll give it back to Devin Dobek.
All right, Courtney, thank you very much. The Harwich Mariners with a 9-1 lead over their East Division foes in the Brewster Whitecaps, for that matter, with 14 hits. Brewster getting a 3-run home run. And Devin, you consider that Tom Shimoleski, he's been a very consistent starter for the Mariners this season, and you consider that he pitched 1 inning in the All-Star game as well. Brings you question around when he'll be able to start next with the Mariners, just about 5 division battles after here tonight.
Yeah, he leads the team in innings and also appearances, or games started rather, with 5 of those, searching for his 6th. And a guy who has a 1-3 record would be really nice to see this kind of offense for Tom Shimoleski when he's on the mound, because despite how great he's been, he hasn't had that support from the other half of his team. And so now to see this has got to be really fun for him to watch and enjoy, and hopefully he'll get some of that in his next start, which who knows when it'll be.
And had a solid start against Brewster the last time he faced the Whitecaps. 2 earned runs in 5 innings, 4 strikeouts and 3 walks, but the Mariners have not had the Whitecaps number here in the season series, trailing 1 game to 3 wins for the Whitecaps, a team looking to make it 4 straight wins, in which a very tall task here, trailing by 9 runs. Daniel Rivera, meanwhile, on base here with the leadoff walk. So 7 straight balls here dealt from Zach Mizrahi, who has lacked a certain degree of command here against the Mariners lineup. Came on to pitch in the 3rd inning. I went a called strike that time. So for Jacob Humphrey here, a strong night in the leadoff spot. 1 for 3, was also a base runner on a hit batsman back in the 2nd. 2-2 the count here to the UMass Lowell products. Shimoleski, in 2 seasons, the rising senior at Princeton has thrown 131 innings combined. 8 wins for the Princeton Tigers, a team in the Ivy League. Pitching close to home, the Needham, Massachusetts native, as Humphrey lifts it high out into center field. Robertson, the outfielder out of Florida, ranges back, and he makes the catch. So 1 away here in the 6th. Mizrahi's starting to look like he can settle down here, retiring the side in order back in the 5th. And that keeps Rivera over at first.
Yeah, and a lot of good swings we've seen from Humphrey here tonight. He's already had 5 at-bats. Actually, they'll knock it down to 4. He's had 5 plate appearances, I should say. He was hit by a pitch back in the 2nd, and just to see him making contact and connecting, seeing the ball well from a guy that strikes out so much has been really awesome to enjoy here tonight, and he's been rewarded. Scored a couple runs, also has a hit. Really starting to do the works out of the leadoff spot.
He's been one of the more consistent leadoff hitters here for the Mariners this season. Kevin Keister into bat here with the Harwich Mariners ahead 13-4 over the Brewster Whitecaps. This one lofted to the right side. Jones, the first baseman, and Leach, the catcher, racing over, bounces on the Brewster dugout. A lot of effort that time. Still a few smiles exchanged down in the Brewster dugout, even though it's a 9-run margin here.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's summer collegiate baseball. They're not going to lose too much sleep over it.
No.
Especially with Chatham on the brink of probably not making the playoffs, so we shall see.
So Kevin Keister looking for his 3rd hit on the day. And instead, that one's going to hit him on the cleat that time. So Rivera into second and Keister into first. And, you have to figure every time it seems as if the Whitecaps pitching staff has looked to settle in tonight. The Mariners have had an answer every time here tonight, as Ethan Anderson will step back in here. But just an opportunity for the Mariners to rid themselves of some situational hitting misses over the past couple of losses here, and just riding a good sense of momentum at the best time of the year in which they have to go to Yarmouth Dennis tomorrow, a place they've yet to win this season. Ethan Anderson stepping in here. Still looking for that first RBI here today. Nonetheless, he has started 3 for 4. Now hitting 138 on the season, a very situational, adept hitter this year. Zach Mizrahi, the left hander out of Penn State, set to go there this coming spring as it's 0-2 here to Anderson. He filled Rocco Reed, the left-handed starter out of Clemson, after 1 2/3 innings. Gave up 9 runs, all of which were unearned. Got just 2 strikeouts, issued 2 walks. I mean, for Brewster, a team that has been trying to reduce its ERA, this is a game that will likely turn the page on. Still a lot left to be played here. But the Mariners, they're still going to need some runs, because you figure that when no lead is safe here in the Cape Cod Baseball League and everyone is trying to improve individually, that's where 2 points intersect, and you want to be able to find some more insurance runs here when you're looking to get a key win over the Whitecaps, a key opponent in the division, as Anderson skies it back behind home plate. Leach trying it again, and the catcher will let it go into the seats.
Nice play made by spectator there to haul it in.
Checking back in across the Cape Cod Baseball League. Falmouth Commodores beating the Cotuit Kettlers 27-2 over at Lowell Park. Cotuit has already clinched, but now drops to 26-11, or 12 for that matter, on the season. Also tied with Chatham earlier before coming in and losing at White House Field last Thursday. Yarmouth Dennis Red Sox beating the Bourne Braves 14-0, another team that has clinched across the Cape Cod East Division standings, as a balk is called here against Zach Mizrahi.
It's the third balk for the Whitecaps. I mean, this has just been torture for themselves, mistake after mistake.
Now Rivera into third, and Keister into second. Harwich looking for its first run since a 4-run frame in the third inning. It's been everything Harwich since. That one in the dirt. Mizrahi losing command again here, 3-2. Anderson out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, has been crucial, one of the Mariners' hottest hitters over the past handful of games. He had that 2-run home run at Chatham for a second on the season, a 2-run single here against the Bourne Braves before the Mariners dropped that one narrowly. Harwich had 13-4, 14 hits for the Mariners, as Anderson cranks it to the left side, and it's a fair ball. Rivera will coast in from third, and one more behind him in Keister, as there will be no throw to the plate on what is an 1-out, 2-run double here for Ethan Anderson, and it's his 4th hit on the night, and Anderson continues to roll late here in the season as the Mariners take a 15-4 lead here in the 6th.
And that's the bat you want warming up, especially headed into the postseason. A guy who's really struggled since getting here. He made a big splash with a multi-hit game in his debut, had a home run a couple days after that, and then has kind of pittered out until then, hitting just 138 coming in today. He picks up 4 hits in the ball game here today. We talked about how he had 6 RBIs in the last week coming into the game today. Picks up another pair there, and he's just been really fun to watch, and a guy who's typically in the heart of your order. You want to be having strong games, and Ethan Anderson has really put one together here tonight.
And I think everyone has been putting together at their best as well. Devin, you consider how well Anderson has been supported around the lineup. Elijah Lambros, 1 for 4 here tonight. Devin Obie, 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs, as Lambros out of Maryland takes it for a strike. Daniel Rivera, the only one without a hit here tonight, but he's been able to draw 2 walks. So finding different alternatives to keep the Mariners moving around the base paths here. Lambros, meanwhile, on a scorching start to start the season, 6 for 15. Now trying to drive in Ethan Anderson as it goes off the glove of Dylan Leach of Missouri, and that will keep Anderson at third. But, I mean, Harwich has had every certain factor into getting on what could be a very convincing home victory here. If the lead is able to hold, Harwich ahead by 11 here Still with just one down here in the bottom of the 6th. A 2-run double here from Anderson. He's into third on for what looked to be a pass ball. Zach Mizrani out of Penn State, still in this one here. 3-1 here. Well, if you're just joining us, Zane Probst giving up 4 earned runs. He looked in command, however, in the second and the third inning before being removed with 2 away in the 4th for Jake Newman, the southpaw out of Central Connecticut State. He dealt 5 strikeouts despite issuing 3 walks. Another good outing here for Probst. That one goes high as it's a 5-pitch walk here to Elijah Lambros, and he's very capable of reaching base with base on balls as well, as hot as he's been. As Jamie Shevchik, the skipper here for Brewster, likely to make a pitching change here, and there will be a new reliever to come into the ballgame for the second for the Brewster Whitecaps. Still with just 1 away here in the bottom of the 6th. Runners on the corners. We'll step away. This is Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Two more unanswered runs from the Harwich Mariners after scoring 13 unanswered after trailing by 1 run, moving into the bottom of the 2nd. A new pitcher into the ballgame, the second reliever here for Brewster, and it goes to the senior reliever out of Marist in Drake Quinn at 6'3", 210, set to face Devin Obie here. Just 1 away still in the bottom of the 6th. Wyatt Copeland, Devin Dobek here with you on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Great to have you along here on this Friday night. The Mariners needing a win to move ahead by a game and a half for 3rd place in the Cape Cod East Division standings. Runners on the corners here for Devin Obie. Quickly 2-0 here. Drake Quinn, meanwhile, out of Pittman, New Jersey, has gone 6 2/3 innings for the Whitecaps this season, and not the lowest opponent batting average. Devin gave up 3 earned runs, 4 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts dealt in that 1 inning of relief in that 10-run loss against Yarmouth Dennis. So certainly has his hands full here, coming in immediately working out of the stretch.
And it's no fun when you inherit runners in scoring position, let alone a pair of runners on the base paths. And see how Quinn can respond. Behind in the count, and dangerous hitter and Devin Obie up could really run into some more trouble.
Obi has induced a lot of trouble this season. A high bouncer over towards the third baseman, D'Amato, fires across to first, and Obi will be safe as it bounced away from the first baseman in Jones. One across the score in Ethan Anderson. The Mariners get their 16th run on the ball game. And so the Mariners with 16 runs on 16 hits. Brewster with an error thus far in the game, and that time just a little bit low for the first baseman in Jones.
Again, that's one way to do it. You'll take it. They're going to score a base hit for Devin Obi, and yeah, it's now a new season high. 16 hits for the Mariners, and they're adding to their season high runs total now at 16 as well.
So the infield single here for Devin Obi. He has 3 hits on the day after striking out in the second. An absolute evening in control for the Mariners lineup as Ali Camadillo drops it into right field for a base hit. Obi will hold at third. Rather, Lembros at third, Obi at second. So the bases are loaded here on a 1-out base knock here from Ali Camadillo. Seems as if he's not even close to reaching his potential now with 3 hits on the evening, and the Mariners with 17 hits. You certainly sense that continuity has been alive since that second inning.
I mean, yeah, they continue to pile it on. We've talked about pedal to the metal this whole season, and now it's almost like you unclog the drain and everything's just flowing freely. I mean, Harwich has just been fantastic tonight on offense and continuing to do the same inning after inning, no matter the pitcher, and this has been really enjoyable to watch.
So Lambros, the only inherited runner still on here against the right-hander in Drake Quinn. In his senior season at Marist, started in 9 of 17 games, appeared for the program. Brian Arndt back up here for the 5th time. 2 base hits here, a single to second and a double to right field for Quinn, with 7 strikeouts on the season here for the Whitecaps, a team entering today just a half game behind Harwich for 3rd place in the East Division. There's a nice changeup that time, just at the knees here to Arndt. So Lambros on third, Obi at second, Camadillo at first. Quinn would certainly appreciate a ground ball double play to close it out here and keep Harwich to just 3 runs of damage here in the 6th, leading 16-4 over the Whitecaps. They've lost 3 straight here entering tonight. 2 losses over at Stony Brook Field and a loss here 7-1 on Independence Day weekend. Quinn finishing 4th season at Marist with 73 strikeouts in hardly 51 innings as well. Very capable of retiring Brian Arndt here. And instead he slams it to the right side foul. 9 runs in the second, 4 in the third. Brewster had a little bit of a spark from a 3-run blast from Jaime Ferrer back in the 4th, but has not been able to extend that as Harwich now with 3 runs here in the 6th. Quinn looking for his 8th strikeout here on the season. That one missing way outside on a fastball. So the command was an issue for Zach Mizrahi. His line still open as he went 3 2/3 innings in relief after Rocco Reed went an inning and 2/3, the starter of Clemson. Mizrahi with 4 strikeouts dealt, but did issue 3 walks. The 3-2, lobbed foul. Ground ball contact has not been too present here tonight for the Whitecaps pitching staff. Faced only 4 back in the 1st. Ever since the ground ball contact has been sparse, only getting 3 ground outs, rather 4, since that point. And instead, Brian Arndt will be reaching on a walk here, bases loaded walk to draw in Harwich's 17th run on the night, and it seems as if no matter what Harwich shows with approach at the plate, it can continue to dial in and force a lot of pressure against the Brewster pitching staff.
I mean, yeah, they're having good at-bats, lengthy at-bats. I mean, you just saw that one from Brian Arndt working the count full and then able to finally win the battle and drive in a run in the process. I mean, it's been, like, really cool to watch Harwich continue to battle and be persistent despite what the score is. They're not rolling over. They're pouring it on, and it's been fun.
It's been a lot of fun as Cameron Leary digs back in here. Harwich bringing its 9th batter to the plate here in the 6th after getting retired in order back in the 5th. Arndt now with a walk and 2 hits on the evening here. Bases still loaded here for Leary out of Boston College. Has to protect here. Still just 1 away here in the bottom of the 6th. Harwich ahead 17-4. Quinn still looking for that first punch out, and he just misses on the outer half. That time trying a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Unsuccessful that time. Meanwhile, here for Leary, getting off to a strong start in his first starting nod here in the lineup tonight in what was a sensational season for Boston College, hitting .258, 26 RBIs, 10 home runs included there. A strong season on our mate Gambino. Count stays at 1-2 here to the Bethpage, New York native. Harwich, meanwhile, with a single season high in run production here tonight after getting 12 runs against the Orleans Firebirds in their first road game on the season. Rather, their second. They won the first one 10-3. They have not shied away from getting aggressive, especially with the two-out rallies early on here. So Obi on third, Camarillo on second, Arndt on first. RBI opportunity alive here for Leary. Instead, he pops it up in the shallow infield. Infield fly rule applied here as there are two away, and everyone stays put.
Yeah, just got a little under that one. And, you know, it was nice for him to fight off a few pitches and keep the at-bat alive. But then, yeah, just scooped that swing, dropped the shoulder, and popped it right up. Good pitch that time from Drake Quinn. And now just has to focus on Rivera, who started this whole thing.
Yeah, Larry certainly not too conducive to a line drive there as Daniel Rivera digs in. 10th batter to step in here in his prior plate appearance, walked back in the 6th. This one fouled away. So Harwich brought 14 to the plate in the second. Got 9 runs on 7 hits. Still left 2 on. But here for the Mariners have not been too susceptible to leaving opportunities at bay here tonight. Rivera, formerly at Southern New Hampshire, set to go to Kansas State. Team up with Colin Rothermel, a starter here for the Mariners this season, in addition to Kalen Culpepper. Has to protect here, trying to avoid a strikeout for the second time here tonight. 2 walks, we mentioned just a moment ago. He has certainly brought a diverse sense of production at the plate this season. Bases juiced here. Quinn, out of Marish, just 1 strike away from retiring the side with his first punch out. Instead, Rivera slices it to the right side. A couple bounces here for Jones, and he takes it to the bag himself as the inning draws to a close. But Harwich brings 10 to the plate and scores 4 runs on 3 hits, no errors, and leaves 3 on. Another great inning here for the Mariners as they have a single season high 17 runs, leading their Cape Cod East Division foes by 13, moving into the 7th inning. The Harwich Mariners with a huge lead and send Jake Newman back out to the mound. For a moment, we step away. This is Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube Network. 17-4 lead for the Harwich Mariners after 9 runs in the second, 4 in the third, and 4 runs in the bottom of the sixth. Jake Newman, the southpaw, back on the mound, working quickly. And back over to my broadcast partner, Devin Dobeck, for the final frames here at White House Field. Devin, this is quite the entertaining opportunity here for the Mariners to stretch across more runs and for Jake Newman to get some more reps.
Yeah, 17 runs on 17 hits. It's been quite the route of these Whitecaps, as that one will be flied out into left field. Long run for Cam Leary, and he's under it in foul territory to make the catch. A big first out for Jake Newman, who's back out there. Came in relief for Zane Probst in the fourth, and now starts off the seventh with a flyout. Be James Tibbs, who's set to continue things going for the Whitecaps. It's been a single for Tibbs, as well as a strikeout looking, and a fly out to center. Looking to extend the inning for the Whitecaps. I mean, they need to start a rally in a hurry, trailing by 13 against their interdivision rivals in the Harwich Mariners. The 0-1 pitch from Newman is going to be flied but foul this time, off to the left. And so the count now moves to 0-2 to James Tibbs, the all-star. This season for the Whitecaps has put together a pretty nice little campaign. Out of Florida State, hitting .302 in his 37th game. Really impressive. He's played in all but 2 games for the Whitecaps this season. An Iron Man, if you will, and still ahead in the count, a ball and 2 strikes. As next pitch misses inside, and so it'll be 2 balls and 2 strikes. Jared Jones on deck, due up in the inning. Newman was able to retire the side with just 4 batters thanks to an inning-ending double play back in the 6th, and then got a 1-2-3 fifth. He'd love to continue his success here in the inning. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Tibbs. Standing in that left-hand side against the lefty and Newman. Here's the pitch. And it misses way outside. Newman lost control of that one, and it'll be a walk issued. Jared Jones now will dig in. Struck out swinging back in the first. He also singled, came around to score in the fourth, and flied out to right back in the fifth. Whitecaps trailing this one 17-4. Yep, you heard that right, 17-4 on a warm night in Harwich. Now hovering around the 80-degree mark, even with the sun down. It has been a scorcher this week, but expecting some rain tomorrow, ironically enough. Can sense the humidity as well. Not supposed to start in the afternoon. It'll be interesting to see if there will be a game tomorrow, as the Mariners are set to take on the Whitey Red Sox, and without any lights at that field, it might be a little difficult for a game to happen if the field is wet and it's coming down. But we shall see. That's a story for tomorrow. As we circle back to the 7th inning here, it's a ball and a strike to Jared Jones, the first baseman for the Whitecaps. I got to tell you, the Whitecaps bats with the teal barrels are awesome. As Brian Arndt lets that one skip by, a pass ball on him on the swinging strike, and it's now a ball and 2 strikes as James Tibbs advances down to second. 17 runs on 17 hits with no errors for the Mariners. 4 runs on 7 hits with an error for the Whitecaps. It has not been their night, but they're trying to piece something together here before it gets too late. They have 8 outs to work with to scrape together 13-plus runs. Here's the 1-2. And it's cut on a miss. Down goes Jared Jones. A swinging strikeout for Jake Newman. And that will be his first strikeout. Will Turner now will have his turn at the plate for the 4th time today. He singled back in the first. It'll actually be Patrick Forbes, the all-star, to pinch hit for Will Turner. Interesting that they are going to put an all-star in for an all-star as opposed to someone else in the lineup, but here we are. Will Turner ends the day 1 for 2 with a single, a walk, scored a run, and also grounded out to the pitcher. Runner in scoring position, 2 away for Forbes. Here comes the pitch. And it's going to be dropped in there for a strike to make it 0-2. Forbes going to have to protect now. Newman looking for another shutout inning. He's been fantastic thus far. Has not surrendered a run, but is responsible for the runner on second. We'll see if he can slam the door. Here's the pitch. Misses inside, and it's a ball and 2 strikes.
I have to think that maybe Harwich opts to throw in some pinch hitters as well. Give some different guys opportunities here, given that not too much time left here in the season. But for Forbes, it's been interesting to see him evolve as a two-way player. You mentioned him being an all-star as well.
1-2. Swing and a miss. Newman able to pick up back-to-back strikeouts to end the 7th inning. A scoreless 7th at that matter, and he works around the walk and the pass ball to retire the side. Time to stretch here at the house. We'll take a quick break and be back 17-4. The NERS on top here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Top of the order for the 6th time today. Jacob Humphrey has had 5 plate appearances. This will be number 6. First inning, he was able to fly out to center, then was hit by a pitch in the second, came around to score. In the 3rd inning, he singled, scored a run. In the 4th, he flew out to left, and in the 6th, he flew out to center. Gets a chance here in the 7th. First pitch to him is going to be in there for a strike. It's 0-1. And yeah, for the Mariners to just be firing right through this order, it has been impressive to watch. It's not easy to get through batters, especially in this league, but just not the Whitecaps night on the mound.
Yeah, now when you're finding a lot of connected base hits, it certainly can do a lot for your confidence as an order when you're trying to just get some wins before the playoffs as well. Harwich is not a team that draws too many walks, and its slugging percentage has been down for most of the year.
This one's going to be grounded over to the shortstop in Sebring, trying to get Humphrey this time, and he will. It's dug out by Jared Jones, who then does kind of a little top spin after making the stretch, and there's one away here in the 7th.
Humphrey has been present with his speed here tonight, and I mean, you consider how he beat out the single to short back from Sebring, who was a little bit hesitant in order to actually get to the actual play. And that time, Sebring redeeming himself there. Tough out.
Kevin Keister's turn. An eventful stretch for him. His first pitch misses outside. It's 1-0. Struck out in the first, doubled, came around to score in the second, walked, came around to score in the third, singled in the 4th, and was hit by a pitch in the 6th. He's had a fantastic game, followed by Ethan Anderson in the order, who also has been sensational. That pitch in there for a strike to even up the count at 1-1. Drake Quinn out there for the Whitecaps, trying to just keep this thing as close as it can be for a 13-run ball game. 1-1 is cut on a miss. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Keister. And yeah, I mean, when you think about this Mariner offense and how much they'd been struggling, I mean, it just got to feel really good for them to find something. And even though they don't have a home run, they still have 17 runs. I mean, this has just been crazy, and it's going to skew all the results of our day-to-day statistics, our month-to-month splits. It'll be really interesting to see how those unfold. I'm looking forward to doing that later tomorrow morning. Yeah, that I guess made sense. Later tomorrow morning. As the 1-2 is going to be lifted out into center field. Going back is Robertson, and he makes the catch on the run over his shoulder for out number 2.
And you talk about finding trends of continuity in your lineup if you're trying to put together the strongest sense of balance, maybe not prioritizing right-handed and left-handed batters, but just finding enough contact hitting throughout 1 through 9 in your lineup, Devin. And Kevin Keister and Elijah Lambros, the two out of Maryland, they have had a hit combined in each of the past 4 games, and they have been present, very strong in their debut. I'd say it's Maryland's terrific duo, I'd say.
You did use that, and I know you've been sitting on that, Wyatt, so I know probably got to feel good for you to get that one out, as this one headed towards the Mariner bullpen, and everybody's scattering like ants, able to get out of there. That was quite the sight to see.
And it's been a seamless fit for the Mariners to have that between the two contact hitters in this lineup. You had Keister, who hit at least 300 for his second season as Maryland won its first ever Big Ten tournament title, but I mean, the urgency has been there, and even if it hasn't translated to wins, I think the Mariners, they have something that they can look to with the fabric of hitting in their lineup here.
Just approached the top of the hour at 9 o'clock and still in just the 7th inning. It has been a fun game, but a long one, as this one's going to be popped up in the infield. Actually moving into the shallow outfield is going out as Sebring, and he'll make the catch. It's a 1-2-3 7th for Drake Quinn, and one that the Whitecaps desperately needed. We'll take a quick break and be back for the 8th. Don't go anywhere on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
Your attention, please. Pinch hitting and leading off for Brewster. From Indiana, number 45, Brock Tibbetts.
Brock Tibbetts will pinch hit for Jaime Ferrer, and he had a decent day at the plate, went 1 for 3 with a 3-run home run. That will work more times than it won't, and Brock Tibbetts now will dig in. The All-Star comes in hitting .277, actually making his 32nd appearance in a ball game, over 100 at-bats from in an on-base percentage of .361. He's behind in the count 0-2 as Newman's back out there for yet another inning of work. He's been fantastic as the 0-2 thought about it. Did he go? No, so says Engstrand down at first. And so the at-bat is extended at 1-2.
He's still looking for his first hit in the season series against the Mariners as well. Hit .357 at Indiana.
He ladles this one out in a shallow center field. Long run for Humphrey, but he's under it and makes the catch. And before it escapes me, just want to kind of commemorate Redshirt Friday with this read from the league. Redshirt Fridays is a national program created to acknowledge, honor, and support our troops who put themselves in harm's way to defend our freedom. In support of this program, the Cape League has partnered with OT Sports to provide all 10 teams with specially designed red jerseys with Zephyr hats to provide all 10 teams with specially designed camo hats, which are worn by the home team every Friday. This special weekly celebration of Red Shirt Fridays is also sponsored by the Mass State Lottery. Support our troops and join us by wearing red to the ballpark each Friday. And thank you to OT Sports, Zephyr, and the Mass State Lottery for their continued support. 2 balls and no strikes to the next batter, and Dylan Leach as Newman into his windup and the pitch in there for a strike. It's 2-1.
It's been a key stretch in the game here as well for Newman, although he had the inning 5-4-3 double play in the 6th. Just really reliant on going back to the fastball and the slider.
Gets the batter fishing here in Leach and went down to try and catch up to it. And so now the count even up at 2-2.
He's just been able to buy himself back here in counts, and 2 straight strikeouts to close out the 7th. Really doing a good job of efficiency.
2-2's dropped in there. Strike 3. Down goes Leach looking. A big pitch that time from Jake Newman picks up his 3rd strikeout and actually has had all 3 of them in the last 4 batters he's faced, even though he came in back in the 4th inning. So there's 2 away now in the 8th inning.
Yeah, he's going to be a really important individual piece to look out for as the Mariners need some extended relief moving into the postseason, assuming the Mariners can actually hold.
This is going to be chopped, a slow roller over to second. Rivera's going to have to glove flip in time. Daniel Rivera, a glove flip on to first to end the inning. What a play from the Kansas State second baseman. The Mariners continue to roll along into the home half of the 8th we go. The score 17-4 in favor of Harwich. We'll be right back on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Elijah Lambros digs in to kick off the bottom of the 8th here. Drake Quinn back out on the mound for the Whitecaps in what will likely be the Mariners' last turn up to the plate. So they want to pour on a little more offense and continue to pad their season highs. Now would be the time to do it, unless Brewster puts together quite the inning. They trail by 13 here. Ball and no strikes. As Lambros swings and misses at that one to make it 1-1. Lambros has grounded into a fielder's choice, singled, came around to score, struck out, looked at first, and walked and scored. Good day for him at the plate as we're ready for the 1-1, and it's cut on a miss to make it 1-2. Lambros going to have to protect now behind in the count. Brock Tibbetts being moved out to right field as he came in for Jaime Ferrer. So some defensive changes for the Whitecaps, trying to get some people, some at-bats, and Rung up that time is going to be Lambros, as the umpire, Ingstrand, down at first says he went around, and so that will be a strikeout for Drake Quinn, his first of the outing.
And not quick turnarounds here from tonight going into tomorrow. The Mariners just have to go to Red Wilson Field, albeit an early game. I'm sure Harwich wants to still get some runs on, but also get this done pretty soon. Aside from a gem that Jake Newman has tossed here tonight in relief as the only pitcher after Zane Probst. I mean, he has been phenomenal, in line for the win, but I'm sure the Mariners want to get this one in the books and look back on it with promise and with a good sense of reflection going into tomorrow, which could be a tough battle.
Pitch is in there to Devin Obie to make it a ball and a strike. Obie on the day, a single, a double, another single. He scored a pair of runs, also struck out, popped out to the shortstop. 1 ball, 1 strike to the Duke outfielder with a 3-hit day today as he lifts that one out in a deep center field. Going back is going to be Michael Robertson at the wall. It's gone. Devin Obie, a solo jack here in the 8th. He'll touch them all and extend the Mariner lead to 14. They lead it 18-4. His team-high 4th home run as he shows off some power. That's the first home run we've seen to center field at White House this season. What a shot by Devin Obie as the home crowd welcomes him back to the dugout. Kinds of cheers and claps.
Well, the Mariners certainly not reliant on a lot of home runs this season to get runs across, and Brewster actually is the 3rd most in the league. So you consider Devin Obie, who has just been absolutely versatile at the plate. Just a great moment here to have for the Mariners to take a 15-run lead.
Now it's Ali Camarillo digging in. He's had himself a nice little day. 3 singles, scored a couple runs, and also a couple groundouts to the shortstop. But 4 hits for Devin Obie. He joins Ethan Anderson with 4. This has been a lot of fun to watch the offense perform in this manner here today, as that one's going to be in there for a strike to Camarillo, and count is now 1 ball and 1 strike.
And funny enough, this is still 1 hit from the single game individual high. Seaver King had 5 hits early on in the season before he left for the collegiate national team as well.
1-1 is going to be grounded but foul off to the left, and it's 1-2. Another final score is the YD Red Sox take down the Bourne Braves on the road, 14-0, the final score in that one in favor of the Sox. Chatham also on top of Orleans. They need to win to keep their playoff hopes alive, and it looks like they're going to be able to do that. They're probably thrilled that Brewster's going to lose because they're just a touch closer than Harwich is. So Chatham essentially needs to win out, and they need Brewster to essentially lose all but 1 game. So we'll see. It's going to be really tough for Chatham to sneak in, but possible. Never say never, as it's going to stay at 1-2 to Camarillo. Brian Arndt on deck. The last of 3 straight All-Stars in this Mariner order. We just saw one of them take a shot out to deep center field. Long home run from Devin Obie. He's had just a fantastic day, but a fantastic summer for Harwich. And if he can get going for the playoffs, he's going to be a threat, as this one's going to be bounced in the dirt to make it 2-2.
And even if Chatham can just win 1 game at a time, that would already reduce its chances of just dropping heartbreakers. When you cannot look past 1 game, it can mean a lot, especially when you're just trying to find collective wins in order for a playoff chase.
2-2 is going to be, he went around with the swing, they're going to say. Camarillo can't believe it. He has a long look for Ingstrand. He's rung up 3 batters at the plate on check swings, and he's not pleased. He has some words on his way out back to the dugout, and I'm not sure what's going on. Did Ali just get tossed? I know Engstrand was gesticulating something.
He was gesticulating something,
like maybe go back to the dugout, but
I don't know. He's noting something now. I'm not sure what he's trying to relay here, because I think he would have given more of a projected gesture. I can't say.
So it'll be a strikeout of Camarillo. And now comes Brian Arndt up to the plate. He's a true competitor. I mean, even 18-4, he's upset he's getting rung up on pitches.
It tells you a lot about what you expect if you're Steve Englert, for your guys to go out there and try and win every battle at the plate, try and get on base, especially with Harwich leaving some close games against Cape Cod East Division opponents this year.
0-1 the count as the next pitch to Arndt misses down low, and it's 1-1. Arndt on the day, a single. He's been hit by a pitch, doubled, struck out swinging, and walked. He's been on base 4 times. A number of Mariners have reached base 4 times. Trying to make it 5. As that one going to be in there for a strike. It's a ball and 2 strikes now to the UNC Wilmington catcher. Yeah, how about the plethora of offense we've seen here today, Wyatt? Am I reading that correctly? It only took 2 hours and 50 minutes for that Falmouth game, the 27-2 victory? Because this one's going to go longer and there's less runs. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Brian Arndt looking for his 3rd hit of the ball game here. Cam Leary on deck for the M's. 2-2 is going to be grounded into left field for a base hit. Brian Arndt picks up hit number 3. He's been on base 5 times. The Mariners continue to swing the bats well, now up to 19 hits on the day. See if Cam Leary can put up number 20 here.
Yeah, no reason not for Quinn to leave the game here. Just has to find ways to get quick outs, and he just needs one more to get out of the 8th inning. He's already got a pair of punch outs here, but I mean, you consider the Katuitt Kettleers, they still have 26 wins, but they're just 5-4-1 over their last 10. Meanwhile, Hyannis right on Katuitt's tail, winning 8 of its last 10. So this one could certainly turn out to be a great West finish.
First pitch in there for a strike to Leary. He's reached out an error, doubled, been hit by a pitch, struck out looking, and also popped out to short. Here comes the 0-1 offering now from Drake Quinn, trying to send this game to the 9th inning, give his team a snowball's chance in hell of winning. (18-4) is going to be the score here as we're set for the 1-1, and it's going to be popped up back towards the backstop, and it escapes out of play over Al Graver press box, and so it'll be 1-2. Daniel Rivera on deck. Mariners trying to bat completely through the order for the 6th time today. If you can even imagine that, it's just been that kind of day offensively for Harwich. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Quinn rocks, delivers, and it misses inside to make it 2-2.
If Leary can push a hit through here, if not get an infield single, that would match a team high in 20 hits. Across the league, the Katuitt Kettleers had 20 hits back on July 11th against the Hyannis Harbor Hawks.
Good stat there, Wyatt, as this one's going to be popped up once again back towards the backstop, and it's going to be bid by Leach. And he's unable to make the catch as there will be life for Cam Leary still. Leach has been trying to snag something right in front of the backstop, but just had no luck.
And oh, by the way, Devin, 2 days later, the Katuitt Kettleers set a game-high 18 runs with 18 RBIs against the Gatemen on July 13th. So the Mariners checking both off right now on the verge of getting that 20th hit.
It's crazy to think that this offense, one of the worst in the league, has put together this masterful performance from start to finish. You'll absolutely take it. So here we go. Set for the 3-2 offering now. Runner on first is Brian Arndt, and the pitch misses up high. And it'll be a walk, a great at-bat for Cam Leary. And that brings up Daniel Rivera, the number 9 hitter, for the 6th time today. Harwich has just been on an absolute bender of moving runners along and extending inning after inning after inning. And Rivera now a chance, still searching for his first hit in the ballgame. Every Mariner has a hit in the lineup except Rivera. He has walked twice, came around to score both times. Trying to join the party here and match that Katuitt season high with a knock. As it'll be a ball and no strikes. That run high, of course, was shattered by Falmouth now after the events of today. Moving up to 27. How many hits did they pair with that?
I'll have to see, but the same day. Not even with a day of each other, Devin. It's just the same day. I mean, that's kind of the nature of baseball sometimes. As crazy of a game as it is, and you can, of course, maybe anticipate a pitcher's duel halfway through a game. That was not the case here today.
It was 26 hits that they were able to rattle off. So if you can imagine that, based on what you've seen here, I mean, just exponential results from the Commodores here today.
Yeah, Falmouth with 26 hits for 27 runs. Katuitt still had 10 hits. So it's not as if it was a below average day for the Kettleers either.
2-1. Is going to be lined down the left field line and fair. Touches the line. Brian Arndt in to score. Taking a turn and coming home is going to be Cam Leary. It's a stand-up double for Daniel Rivera, and he joins the hit party. Number 20 for the M's, and they now lead it 20-4. It has been just, I mean, I'm losing ways to describe it. It's just been unbelievable. I'm left speechless here.
Undescribable. Maybe you'd consider unimaginable as well, with the Mariners not producing too many runs over their last 5 games as well. I mean, team hitting 335, but it hasn't translated to the most runs by all means. And for Rivera, continuing to provide versatility here at the bottom of the lineup. And it's his 5th RBI on the season. Had 2 doubles 2 nights ago at Wareham as well. You'd have to think that he'd due for a home run. That time just driving in 2 runs. And that is what Daniel Rivera does best. He does the small things really well.
Jacob Humphrey's turn. 7th plate appearance for him. First pitch is going to be, or the second pitch is cranked out into right field and off the glove of a leaping Brock Tibbetts. In to score easily is going to be Daniel Rivera. The throw into third is going to get Humphrey. He actually slid around it initially but couldn't hold the bag. So it'll be a double ruled to Jacob Humphrey, followed by a put out at third base. But the Mariners do put up another run. They lead it now 21-4. To the 9th inning we go. It's winning time here in Harwich, back on the other side of the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. To the 9th we go. The Mariners call upon their closer, Cole Rowland, to come in and I guess keep the door shut on this one. It's going to be really tough to open it As first pitch is in there for a strike to Jonah Sebring. Final line for Jake Newman, 4 1/3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. His best outing of the season, his best in a Harwich Mariners uniform for that matter. Played here last summer, of course, too. He will be credited with the win momentarily, I would imagine, as the 0-1 is going to drill Jonah Sebring right in the back. And Cole Rowland hits the first man he sees to put a runner on.
Yeah, command was a bit of an issue for Roland the last time he was on a pitch here at White House Field against the Bourne Braves, and he'd get 2 strikeouts, but allowed an earned run on 3 hits in those 1 1/3 innings against Bourne. And before that, 5 consecutive scoreless relief appearances. So you get the sense that if you're Rollins, you have a very comfortable 17-run lead. You're looking for some restoration of that dominance here against Brewster.
Hunter D'Amato now will dig in. Leadoff man coming up for the 5th time today. I mean, 5 times is nothing to be wary of. Just 7 hits, 4 runs, though, for the Whitecaps, as they're down to their last 3 outs to scrape together 17 runs. That one gets away from Brian Arnaz. Down into second will go Sebring, and he's now in scoring position.
Still some learning points for the Mariners, although very few, very sparse when you consider having a 17-run lead. No errors on the game as of yet for the Mariners, so you look at this being a very clean game, but Harwich left still a couple of chances on base in the 3rd and the 4th, and although you can never ask perfection out of yourself, you certainly won't be able to follow through on a lot of your chances.
1-1. Swing and a miss to make it 1-2 now to D'Amato. He walked, stole a base, and scored in the 1st, struck out swinging in the 3rd, doubled in the 4th, and grounded into a double play in the 6th. Roland getting set. Goes through that very animated motion each and every pitch, tapping that left foot and putting those arms out, now surveying the runner, and the pitch is going to be rolled over to the first baseman, Anderson. He'll take it himself, a 3 unassisted for out number 1 here in the 9th, as down the 3rd goes Sebring.
Well, Roland has certainly gotten the strikeouts that he's needed this season, but also doing a good job of pitching to contact thus far and responding well after pinning Jonas Sebring as another hit batsman here in this ball game. But this one all but over, just down to their final 2 chances.
Anglers still leading 5-2, trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. The Gateman and Harbor Hawks tied up at 8, as this one's going to get by Brian Arndt, and in to score easily is going to be Sebring. So after hitting the batter, a couple pass balls and a ground ball, are able to score Sebring, and the Whitecaps have now cut it to 16.
It's just a time to get your confidence back and stay mentally locked in here. You still need 2 outs, but a wild pitch, not keeping those 2 outs any more near.
1-0 in there for a strike, 1-1. And for Roland, it's got to be nice for him to have the bases empty at least, and now he can pitch without having to worry about anything else. Still will pitch out of the stretch, though. That doesn't change, but doesn't have to keep in mind anyone on the base pass. Here comes the 1-1 offering from the Wake Forest Demon Deacon, and it's going to miss low for a ball. Roland, this season, 6'3", 210-pound right-hander from Duxbury, Massachusetts. Out of Wake Forest, a 1-0 record, a 1.59 earned run average. So he sets for the 2-1, and it's going to be grounded over to Daniel Rivera. Slides, knocks it down, but there will be no play at first. It will be a single for Michael Robertson. And that brings up James Tibbs with 1 on and 1 away.
A little bit of a tough situation here for Roland. You want to get quick outs, especially as you've been known to get a save on the season through 5 2/3 innings thus far, and 10 strikeouts, just 1 walk entering tonight. You know you can retire hitters by making them lunge for pitches, especially with 2 strikes, but has to just stay strong here, especially facing a power hitter in Tibbs.
First pitch to Tibbs misses low for a ball. It's 1-0. Rolling that 1.59 earned run average, making his 7th appearance. That's now tied for the team high with Chris Lotito and Sean Hard. In addition, Roland's gone 5 2/3 innings, 1 save, 3 hits, 1 earned run, and then 10 strikeouts to 1 walk is the number that really makes you step back and appreciate what Roland can do out in the mound. 2 balls and no strikes now as he pumps that one in the mid-90s. Comes set once again, and we're ready for the 2-0 offering. And it's going to be popped up. Shallow left field coming in is Leary. Camps a tent under it and finally has to move at the last second, but able to haul it in nonetheless. And there's 2 away here in the 9th.
It brings you some confidence as a reliever and someone who's been called upon in tight situations, this not being one of them. And just tough play for Daniel Rivera to try and make that kind of play happen. And baseball game, no clock. Roland has to be able to get outs here, and his defense has to continue to compensate.
Jared Jones now will dig in. He struck out swinging twice, also singled, came around to score, and flied out to right. Mariners 1 out away from sealing a 16-run victory. Here comes the first pitch, and it's going to miss down in the dirt, make it 1-0. Roland last pitch relatively recently, Wyatt. I mean, came back against the Bourne Braves a few days ago and back out there once again, probably trying to avenge himself. Couldn't wait any longer after what turned into an eventful late inning comeback for the Braves to beat the Mariners 7-5. 1-0 pitch. There goes the runner. There will be no throwdown from Martin. It's a free 90 feet for Michael Robertson.
Yeah, at this point, you can't really be worried about the runner. You're just 1 out away from giving your team a convincing victory. It's largest of the season, and Roland just has to be able to get some ground ball contact here, especially against the taller hitting Forbes.
2-0 pitch. He is going to miss down low to make it 3-0. Yeah, Roland just has not had his control that we're used to seeing. I mean, a big strikeout guy, doesn't really pitch to much contact. And granted, has only given up 3 hits, but those all came in his last outing. It was really just a completely different pitcher from what we saw in his previous 5 outings, as checks in with a strike to make it 3-1. Jones given the green light there on the count. And so trying to get a swing and miss once more. Runner on second is Robertson in scoring position. Here comes the 3-1. Swing and a miss. Loads up the count full at 3-2. Might have been a little high, probably ball 4, but if you're rolling, you'll take it, get the hitter's eyes to rise up and draw a swing.
It's not much to lose when you're down to your last out and looking for a 2-hit day at this point, just to try and keep the game alive in some semblance. Jones.
Anywhere. You've been listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Continue to keep their lead in that 3 seed, and yeah, they really came to play tonight.
And it was a game in which followed a couple of heartbreaking losses. You know, you consider a late blown lead against an interdivision opponent, and then just a couple of days ago rather, you lose to another division opponent on the road and or interdivision as well. So for the Mariners, it was a lineup that was conducive to a lot of success, with a lot of confidence drawn in between a lot of different spots. It only seemed like the Mariners had 4 different big innings. As a matter of fact, they only got 1, but with 9 runs in the second, then 4 runs in the 8th, the Mariners led from start to finish, and you could sense that the confidence was restored when you're looking for these kinds of wins that can build in to some momentum going into the playoff, and that's kind of what you look back on. Although 1 win doesn't change the whole course of your season or even part of it, you still have to be able to get convincing wins, and it mattered most against a division opponent.
Everyone in the lineup scored at least 2 runs on base multiple times. This was just, I mean, you can look at every route of the Whitecaps here tonight. The Mariners